Hi team. Elliot, Sammy, how you doing? As you as you can probably see, I'm in a new room. I got back from Hawaii and I moved flat. And then obviously went to Baltimore. Got home, set up a new little layout, and here we are. Here we are. How's everyone doing? I escaped the old room. I don't know why some of the chat is coming up on my screen. Don't know what I've done. Who knows? Who knows? Henry, how are you doing? Did you get back? Did you get back smoothly? How was your travel back? Shax, welcome in. Welcome in. Henry, I don't know why your messages don't pop up on my screen. I don't know if that's my setting or yours. Yeah, it was really nice to catch up with you properly and to watch you properly, to watch you live. It was you were awesome. You were awesome. So it's actually been a couple of weeks since I streamed, I think. So I was thinking that I could do some Master League. We're in Master League now, so I can return to GBL, which is pretty exciting. And then as we get into it, I can pause and we can do some Baltimore recap as well. So I've also opened up the Baltimore stream on YouTube, and we can flick through that as well. Maxwell, not Master League. I don't think Great League's available, right? It's just Psychic Cup, which doesn't seem like something that I want to learn anytime soon. So I'll just tap screen in the new Master League meta and we'll see how we do. Guys, not only do I have a new bedroom to stream from, also tweaked the layout slightly. I thought I might as well while I'm making a couple of changes. So not saying it's like in final form or anything, but we do have a slightly different layout as well. So why don't we go and play some Master League? Whoa, so pretty. All right, I haven't had time to really think of a team, so I've just gone with some pretty basic Yveltal double steal. I haven't played any yet, so we'll see how we do. But let's give it a go. Let's give it a go. Let me know if you like it. Do you like the new layout? It doesn't guarantee any success, but Elo check, I don't know, 2200 I think it was. I have no idea. Good lead. Well done. A fairy. 3, 4. Okay, they're throwing on 7, so I'm expecting a close combat, which will shield. This is interesting. This is interesting. What's our pacing like? I think from memory, does Genesect beat Yveltal in CMP? I haven't played in a while. Maybe it doesn't. I don't remember. I outpace, right? I outpaced? I'm trying to do the maths in my head. What's the new... This is a counter. Easy. Easy. Welcome in, team. Murphy, it was good to meet you in person in Baltimore. How you doing, mate? Jag, thanks. Thank you. Okay, so we'll come in with Yveltal here because we'll save this. We'll save the lion. I don't mind if they catch, really. They're on 1. So I'll just get out before they get to wild charge. K9, how are we? I know it's been kind of crazy that Murphy that we have been speaking for a long time, just on Discord and things. Oh, I'm gonna lose anyway, right? Because I'm just gonna get they're just gonna raw time the Evalton. Because I don't think I've got an attack, and they will have one, and they'll win CMP. Oh, they've thrown an attack. That's wild. Why would you do that? Oh, they think I've got Flamethrower. No Psychic Cup. Correct. Correct, no Psychic Cup. Can't wait for Zacian to be back in raids. Do you know what? Not only is Zacian back in raids, it's going to be shiny. Which, I don't know if many Go players realize how big that is. But, shiny Zacian isn't even available in VG. So that's pretty massive. That's pretty massive that they're going to release, effectively give a proper release to shiny Zacian in Go. So anyone, if you guys have got any friends that play VG, or if you collect in the main series games, get your shiny Zacian in, then you can transfer it. Oh yeah, my notification pop-up. I never thought about that. I don't even know where that is. Good point, good point. I'm just going to randomly move it. It can go there. The notification said there would be feet pics. No, that's not until much later this evening. Don't worry, don't worry. We'll do a Baltimore recap. We'll do a Baltimore recap soon as well. Because, I mean, obviously, I was quite pleased with how Baltimore went, but it was also, there were just lots of things for me that meant that I would definitely try an NA event again. It was a lot of fun, and everyone was so nice, which makes a big difference as well, right? Everyone was so nice. This looks like the 2200s. Yeah, well, sorry, Sammy, I didn't play any Ultra League, so I haven't played GBL. I haven't played GBL since Great League stopped. Actually, I didn't play any of the Ultra League games. And I don't have any Little Cup teams. Wow, post nerf Kyogre. Okay, so double fairy in the back, I assume. You're not mad with Arch 1. He played like, yeah, he was very good. He was very good. You don't get pings from Twitch roll and Discord? Maxwell, please fix. I don't check how my Discord notifications work. Go live with the 7-0 recap. I will soon, Tom. So, is it a Primarina in the back? Is that what people play at the moment? Okay, bye. Played for 2 hours without a break at the end. Yeah, well, I had good practice streaming for you guys, right? Just playing mindlessly. It is tough, I think, that the structure of the tournaments, when you get towards the end, you don't get any breaks, and you don't really get time to check your opponent's teams or anything either. Oh, there's the notification. Okay, I can. Cool. Fruity Cane. This is a good lead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not gonna risk the bait because it doesn't seem worth risking. Got the debuff. The live notification on Discord doesn't tag anybody. Are you, Maxwell, are you talking to me? This seems good. Might go into Genesect in a minute. There's the CMP. What do you mean on my Discord? Max, you're a mod, you can fix it, right? You can fix that. Is there any replacement of Genesect in the team? A steel, I guess. Just any steel. 1, 2. I just need to check what Veltal CP they're using. Do I win CMP? Yes. Hydrate. I do need to hydrate. I do need to hydrate. I will. I will. I promise. Could I catch an Oblivion Wing? No. But I don't think Oblivion Wing doesn't take me out. Hydrate. Oh yeah, I remember that. I'm in trouble here. Yep. I'm probably going to lose. Okay, I will do that. Do I like it? I don't know about like it. I just had one, so I was like, yo, let's try it. I just built it, Tom. Tom, I just built it. So I was like, why not? But also, if lots of people are running Fairy to counter Yveltal, then maybe it'll work. I don't know. I've never used it before. Also, I didn't have a team. I don't have a Rhyperia. I started this game after Rhyperia Comday. So I never got. I don't think I've even got a Hundo Rhyperia. Yveltal. Maybe I should be baiting here. I don't have a Hundo Bulu either. Josh, how you doing? Bulu beats all the stuff people use trying RPS Rhyperia. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Can I reach 2 attacks here? No, is the answer. Oh no, I'm gonna get stone edged. Oh wait, I have a shield. Doesn't matter. Interesting. Bulu is the goat. Bulu is the goat. I wish I had a Bulu. I really do. I assume, Maria, how you doing? Welcome in. You also never played. What are they going to have in the back? Why did they save their Landorus? Wow, look how bulky Solgaleo is. This is awesome. Are they going to try and full farm me down? That'd be bad. Oh, I don't want to shield them. Go on, give me a free sucker punch. There we go. Honestly, these guys, it's just too easy. I still might lose because of the Landorus. Anyone have any idea how much energy that Landorus was on? I haven't really been paying attention. Nope. No way! Fraudulent behavior. Fraudulent behavior. Where's our draw? Outrageous. Rhyperia and Yveltal, they are pretty good. Rhyperia and Yveltal are pretty good. Your favorite factions memory, seeing a Mega Salamence on the opposing side let through an Ice Technoblast. I like that. Mega Salamence, by the way, now must be so good with Fly. Must be so good with Fly. Do you know what? I'd like them to give Salamence Psychic Fangs. Not for the Mega. Obviously the Mega doesn't need it. But normal Salamence or Shadow Salamence. Psychic Fangs Fly? I'd like that. I think I'd like that. I was supposed to go into Genesect, but I was too slow. Now I have to stay here. But I'm going to continue to outpace them. So I don't know why they are still in. But what I will do is shield one, just in case it's a Focus Blast. But it's just an Oblivion Wing, so it's good. I'm going to win CMP, so I'm going to actually wait one more to CMP tie them. Oh! GG! GG! Well done. Which team were you? Oh, Burke, that's really kind of you. Oh, they're coming back in. 2, 3, 4, 5. Should we try and catch an attack on Lion? Why not? Why not? Shield. 6, Lion. Oh, they stay in. 7, 8. Oh, your Kyogre double fairy? Yeah, I had a feeling as soon as I saw Kyogre lead that it was probably fairy in the back. Serve. Wow, nice. Stretch. I could stretch. Team, what do we think of? We'll go after this game. We'll go back onto my full cam so that you can tell me what you think of the new layout of the new stream background behind me. Okay, what have we got? So we can just come in with Genesect. They have to shield, right? I mean, they have to throw a superpower to take us out, so... Tom, don't worry, we'll finish this set and then we'll go through Baltimore. We'll do Baltimore. Solly, I'm doing one set of Master League, and then I will talk your ear off. Okay, we pressed the attack, so this is a CMP tie, so I can just shield. I have missed. Do you know what? We had a few seasons of a lot of Ho-Oh usage, right? And I have missed using Genesect. I've really missed it. Right, team. Let's talk. Let's talk. Okay, new background. What do we think? Yay or nay? Do we like it? I don't have much room in this room, so there wasn't a huge amount I could do. But what we've got here is we got some. Okay, what I'm pointing at here. This is a little figurine. These two are little figurines from. That's from Hawaii. That's from Japan. This is a Snorlax, which I think is pretty cool. This is just loads of plushies. You got the London Pikachu. This is the Japan Pikachu, and this is the Hawaii Pikachu. This, see this blue bag here? This is my top 32 bag from Hawaii. And this is also, this Riolu is also from Hawaii. You can't read any post. You don't need to read them. It says, that poster says, the Pokemon Battle of the Century. And it's a Charizard versus a Blastoise. Which I was actually given for my birthday by one of my brothers a long time ago, like 10 years ago. And then some medals over here. You can see, let me get rid of chat 1 second. Can you see these? This is Barcelona last year. This is Warsaw 2 years ago. Liverpool last year and Bologna last year. And we now have, of course, we have a 4th place medal from Baltimore. So I've got 3 seconds, a 3rd, a 4th, came 5th in Stuttgart. So I'm racking them all up, except the only one I want. So we'll keep going. We will keep going, and I'll try and play as much as I can this season. They have the new, they have the new logo. They have the new logo. It's obviously going to be flipped in the camera, right? But we have the new logo on the medals, which I think they look really nice. I quite like the new logo, to be honest. So, what shall we do? Shall we go through? Shall we go? Yeah, how you doing, David? Shall we go through some of the Baltimore stream, because it was the first event of the season, and I really wanted to play. I wanted to play in the new meta. I wanted to play as soon as possible in the new meta, because when it's brand new and no one really knows what teams are very good, that's when you can start to catch people out, right? You can start to catch people out with very specific Pokemon. You can start to catch people out with cores that are very strong, right? Cores of 2 Pokemon together that players haven't worked out how to overcome yet. And also people are very new to a lot of the new energy damage attacks. And this is why I always say, if you can, the better you know your counts, the better you know your energy, the quicker actually it is to adapt when there are changes, right? So the quicker that you can adapt, then the easier it is. So I did reasonably well in Barcelona last year, which was a first meta event, and same again this season as well. So I'm pleased. I'm pleased. I'm proud kind of myself of how I approach new metas. But let's go and have a look at the stream. So I've got the day 1 stream up. Let's go. So what I'll do is I'll pause the music, and we're gonna listen instead to the melody of Will and Amanda. Let me know, can you hear that? Let me know if you can hear it, if it's too loud, too quiet, etc. Can't hear it. Okay, let me work out. Let me pause it and try and add the sound. How do I add the sound? Good question, good question. What about now?
Suddenly possible.
You know, Lyle Jeffs has 2
Yay or nay?
regional champions under his belt. He's a player that is super well known within not only the North America region, but also all over the globe. We have a trainer coming up who he hasn't gotten first yet, but he has a lot of second place.
Let me know if it's too loud or too quiet.
Coming over from across the pond. Oh, yeah, no. I think it's a similar version of him, but maybe overseas. We got Tomahawk UK.
Similar version of Caleb. How rude,
invading
Amanda.
here
How
in this
rude.
region. Will he be able to sneak a title here in North America?
That'll be a surprise, right? I don't think a lot of trainers knew that Tomahawk was coming, but he's going to be a formidable trainer.
That is true. Not many people knew I was going. I didn't actually tell many people at all.
Which is absolutely bonkers. I don't know.
I hadn't decided until very, very late that I was going to go.
He's going up against Cheese Curl, running a team. Something that I just want
So
to
this
point
is
out,
this
Will,
game here. This is winners round 3.
That are going to be interesting. We're going to come up with that.
I'm just going
next,
to pause
first
here
look
because it's the first look at the team, right? So this is winners round 3. My first game. So I get, because I'm seeded, I usually get I don't have to play round 1 because the seeded players start in round 2. So I start in round 2, and my first game is against Ilsemi, who's actually a very, very good player. They didn't play so much last season, but they are a very, very good player. And I was like, oh, here we go. This is my first test for my team, is against a very good player. But actually, they did not have a ground type on their team. They didn't have a ground type, and Toxpex just absolutely mowed through their lines. So actually, although they're very good, I personally wasn't a huge fan of their team, and I mean Toxpex was a huge fan of their team, but it actually ended up being a pretty reasonable first start to the tournament. And then this is my game 2, and Cheese Curl, my opponent here, this is his 3rd game because it's winners round 3, and I think that he played round 1. I'm not sure, but this is winners round 3. So this is the team. This is the team that I brought, and if any of you are playing Show 6 in locals, if you've got regionals coming up, and you're interested in running any team like this, one thing that I would say, and one thing that I'm expecting now that we have some picture of what the meta looks like and what people are liking to use, is that Diggersby and Toxapex were insane for me. They were so good, and in my opinion, one of the strongest cores in the new meta. So if you have, it is a level 50 Diggersby, right? It is an XL Diggersby. If you have access to a Diggersby, it is worth it. It is so good. The normal typing gives you a double resistance to Ghost, and then you are a really strong answer to opposing Clodsire. And in this meta, there's not many of those, right? There's not many Pokemon that are as dominant versus Clodsire as Diggersby is, but there's the additional benefit, as I say, by being a normal type and resisting the Shadow Claw. Diggersby's really good into Feraligatr as well. It can tank a Hydro Cannon from Feraligatr. It can't be fast attack down, and there is actually a game where I play Talonflame lead, not in this match, right, but later on. Talonflame lead with a Diggersby in the back. And I remember when I was rewatching the game, I saw in one of the comments, and the comment said, in this meta, playing ABA to water? And actually, yes, except all of the water that we're reasonably seeing is Feraligatr. And my opponent at the time didn't have an Azumarill on the team, right? So it wasn't an Azumarill, it was a Feraligatr. And like I say, Diggersby, when shields are up, when you're at around even energy, Diggersby's absolutely fine to Feraligatr. So Diggersby, Toxapex, if you've got them, because they were super strong.
Get Tomahawk's team that we've seen.
4 of my 6 Pokemon didn't get a direct buff. That's true. That is true. Only Clodsire and Pangoro here actually got buffed, didn't they?
Karate Chop Pangoro is going to get to
Good point. Hadn't realized that.
Way faster than you expect, and it does have the.
What mon, if I had to replace in my team, would I go for? Good question. Okay, lots of people I appreciate don't have a Pangoro, right? And you probably don't have a shiny one either, which is categorically better because it looks cooler. So what would I run instead of Pangoro? I would change Clodsire to Stone Edge. And then I would swap Pangoro for Superior. And by doing that, your Superior is now an answer to Azumarill. It's a further answer to Feraligatr. In my mind, I was using Pangoro as a Feraligatr counter, but actually it gets pretty... you have to be very, very careful with energy management. Superior is a little bit safer and easier to do that. But by changing to Superior, you become even weaker to opposing Talonflame. And so you can drop Sludge Bomb from Clodsire because you no longer need as much coverage versus Azumarill. And instead, you need to pick up Stone Edge so that you have better coverage versus opposing Talonflame. That team will work. That team you should be able to win a local with if you practice with it a ton. Blob, thanks for following. It's good to meet you in Baltimore as well. Hope you're doing well, dude. But yes, so if you want to run a team like this, Azumarill, Toxapex, Diggersby, Talonflame, Stone Edge, Clodsire, and Superior with Aerial Ace. Don't run Leaf Tornado on this team. Run it with Aerial Ace because I think you want slightly better coverage into opposing Superior because you're losing that Sludge Bomb and that Clodsire, for example. And you've got a double weakness in Azumarill and Diggersby already. Did I take bananas to the regional? No, I didn't. We did no fruit juggling in Baltimore, unfortunately. What's the thought process of Talonflame versus Shadow Typhlosion? I'm actually going to open that question to the audience, to you guys. Can you tell me what Talonflame gives me that Typhlosion wouldn't give me? And I'll give you a little clue. There's a Pokemon that even with Talonflame, I'm weak to. But I would be, yeah, exactly. It's Mudslap Resist. I would have absolutely no answer to Gastrodon. I actually ended up losing to a Gastrodon in the end, which we'll come on to it maybe, but I feel like I could have / should have won that match, which we'll go into. But the Talonflame as my Mudslap Resist is an answer to Gastrodon. Typhlosion is much better into Gator. Yeah, from even energy, Typhlosion has a positive matchup into Feraligatr. I didn't really need it. I've got Diggersby, I've got Pangoro, Azu and Toxapex are fine. I was very comfortable with Feraligatr. The way that I used this team was almost to invite my opponents into thinking Feraligatr was good into me. I wanted them to use Feraligatr. So I ran double ground, Blob, as you say. I ran double ground. And part of that is because I didn't view Feraligatr as a threat to Diggersby, generally speaking. But by running Diggersby and Talonflame, I know that lots of people think that their Feraligatr is very good versus Azumarill as well, and people don't really know Pangoro matchups. So a lot of players that I played against were like, "Oh, we'll just use Feraligatr every game because that's what we've become used to doing, of just play Feraligatr into everything." And I feel like I mostly punished that. I did lose to Elite's Feraligatr, but I actually feel like I lost to his Cresselia. And also, reflecting on those games, I would have played them differently. I would play them differently now, but yeah, I still like this team.
Close combat asset as well. Due to that, I typically see Pangoros in Go Battle League either in the lead or as the closing Pokemon whence a Protect Shield advantage has been achieved. So whenever you see these Pokemon, their movesets or identity kind of tip the hat towards what playstyle they are going to employ.
Yeah,
so that does appear
there was a little bit of delay in my matches against both against Elite and Dylan, and that cost me because when you're using Pangoro, you have to have every exact energy work properly, or it becomes very difficult. Do I plan on coming to any other NA regionals? Yeah, I think so. I think I'll come to a couple more, maybe a couple. We'll see. Maybe just one more. I haven't 100% decided, but I'm definitely open to it.
They do, and I really like the Abomasnow pick here.
And I think part of the
from
reason that
Cheese
I'm
Curl
open
as
to
well. I
it
think
is
that
also
Abomasnow is
because
a very powerful Pokemon, but as you look
in
at
Europe
the
we have
matchup,
3
right,
special
you look at the teams
events,
individually, but as you compare
and
the
you
two,
can't earn money from a
Tomahawk
special
has
event
so
because of
many
the
checks to some of the best
rules in that
potential,
region.
picks
You
here
can't
from
earn
Cheese
money
Curl. I
even
mean,
if you
the
win,
top
right? You don't
speed
earn
to
any
shut down
cash, you
the
just
Zumaro
earn the
Abomasnow.
card
If you
prize and
look
you
at
earn the
Gyarados from
championship
Cheese
points.
Curl, yeah, it's got play,
And
but what about into Clodsire Talonflame?
maybe it's
And
just
there's
worth,
so many
you know,
checks for
flying out to an
Pokemon. It's
NA
gonna be
regional,
really
because
tough
then
for
at
Cheese
least if you
Curl.
do well,
Like,
you cover the
Tomahawk is a
costs, right?
early
Like
team composition.
my Baltimore
Tomahawk is
trip was
very,
fully
ready
covered
to
by
be able to
by
prove
coming
himself. I
forth.
talked to him a
The
little bit
prizing
before
fully
this tournament.
covered the
He said,
trip
"I just
plus more.
really
So
want a tournament win." He's
yeah,
come so
I
close
think
so
I'd be
many
open to
times.
doing
A little
another
fun
NA
fact
regional,
about
maybe
him
in
is
place
one
of
the
doing
big
some of the
tournaments that he got second
European,
place in, our co-caster,
in place of doing the
Nighttime
European
Clasher, ended
special
up being
events.
that,
But we'll see. We'll see.
champion
I haven't
in
100%
Liverpool.
decided
So I think
either
maybe
way.
Tomahawk is taking a page out of his book, coming over here and also saying, "Oh, what? Nighttime Clasher isn't playing? What? He's casting?
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
you're telling me."
Okay,
to
so I'm
check."
looking
It's
at this
like when you
opposing
dip your toe
team,
into the pool
and
before
I
you
can
dive in, you
see
gotta make sure the
that
water is warm.
he is
We're gonna jump right
desperate
into
to
game
use the
number
Zumaro
1.
here.
We've got the ground type
Uh,
versus the normal type.
So this is a good
Dunsparce.
lead for you.
This is
Trip,
gonna
can
be
I
one
just
map.
say, Trip, I actually told you that I was going to take Pangoro to Baltimore, and you didn't believe me, so I left it, right? But I did tell you in advance that I was going to go. And you know what? I told Martine as well, and he also just didn't. He just refused to believe me, and I was like, well, is what it is. Okay, I'm actually going to pause this because I make a mistake here straight away. First time on stream. I actually make a ton of mistakes in these games, and I get very fortunate. But these are like my first games on stream of this tournament. So you do make some mistakes. I was fortunate here. I'm going to tell you a couple of times I make a mistake. So I've got a positive lead here. I've got a Diggersby into a Dunsparce, right? I resist rollout, and I'm way too bulky. So this is a very positive matchup for me. But look what happens here. So he comes in with Ariados, and I'd actually in my head, I prepared for this. I thought a safe swap Ariados is going to come in, and if it does, the optimal play here is to go to a Fire Punch and throw it first. I would reach a Fire Punch before he reaches a Trailblaze. Okay, so I guarantee reaching the Fire Punch, and I get to throw it first. But as soon as I see the Ariados, I counter swap into my Clodsire. My Clodsire doesn't have Stone Edge. Okay, and if I am to go for triple Earthquake in the 2-shield scenario, I can actually end up losing this matchup to an Ariados. And if you are using Ariados, if you want to use this little spider, and your opponent counter swaps a Clodsire into you straight away, the best thing to do is go straight lunge. Right? You just keep lunging. Cheese Curl doesn't do that here. He alternates between lunge and he alternates between Trailblaze. And as you'll see, I actually
Yeah, going ahead, but if you go ahead,
I actually throw a Sludge Bomb first. I throw a Sludge Bomb first because I had a pretty strong feeling that he was looking to try and flip switch, and he would want to shield at some point anyway. And it's a risky bait. This is a risky bait, right? But as soon as he shields it, I know I can now go straight Earthquake, match shields if I need to, and flip. But he starts going for Trailblazers, and he doesn't need to go for Trailblazers. He can just go straight lunges.
At this point, but there is a shield deficit here.
So yeah, that was a mistake from me. My opponent didn't punish it, but that's the first mistake I make in this match.
But not enough to take it out. Meanwhile, just add a ton of energy here, buffing its attack one more time with the second Trailblaze coming through.
Trailblaze can be tricky, can definitely ramp up the damage, but when you have a
I will
poison type fast
hydrate,
attack
Thomas.
that's
Thank
double
you.
resisted, actually triple resisted by Clodsire, that's a really tough position to be in. Trailblaze going off here again.
Yeah.
Gyarados might actually get the better.
K9, you're right. Like, it's not like I'm getting Poison Sting down anytime soon.
Has a lot of energy on his side. Didn't want to go
So
down
I give a shield back. We're on even shields. I throw an Earthquake as I reach 100 energy. I wasn't actually expecting him to shield this. He does shield it, so I will match shields here. And then my next mistake that I make, which you'll see in a second, my mistake number 2 of this game,
is coming right down to the wire. Another Trailblaze getting fired off here. Cheese Curl is ramped up and ready to go, but it looks like Tomahawk is closing in on his energy.
is firstly, I throw one early, right? I don't maximize my energy. So if you saw that,
Trailblaze getting fired off here. Cheese Curl is ramped up and ready
1,
to go,
2, 3. I should have thrown on 4, not on 3, right? And I can throw on 4 and pause and make sure they don't catch, but I threw a little bit early. And then the other thing is I threw an earthquake, right? And part of me was just like, it's not worth risking a sludge bomb not taking it out. But as you play and as you get experience, we now know, like, look, sludge bomb's going to knock this out. So I should have thrown a sludge bomb here.
His energy. He's going to throw an earthquake here to take down the Ariados. And at this point,
But it was like a low risk thing, right? Because I knew if I keep alignment, I'm probably fine.
You know, we're talking about Lyle Jeffs being a bomber.
However, look what happens now, right? He can't roll out down, so he's going to come back in with the Azumarill.
Maybe he wants to go for very aggressive attacks with the Dunsparce being able to farm down here.
And because I didn't throw the sludge bomb into Ariados, and because I didn't maximize my farm, I lose this sludge bomb. I didn't get it. And ultimately, it doesn't make a difference because I had a feeling he was going to bring Azumarill, so I throw Toxapex in the back. But that could have made a difference. That could have made a difference. So I come in with Toxapex now. I'm not going to go through that. This is now basically hard counter Diggersby into Dunsparce, Toxapex into Azumarill. But those are two mistakes that I made with the Clodsire Ariados matchup that I remember I was like, okay, note that. Take it away for next time. Don't ever make that mistake again. And I think that that's an important thing to do, right? When you win, lose, whatever it is, right? Go back. Could you have played it a little bit better? Because against a different opponent, I could have been punished more. And that actually happens in this next game. In this next game, a more experienced opponent might have taken advantage of the mistakes that I make in the next game.
Regional of the season. Can I say, right? But
so I'll flick through.
When you in the lead, the powering the back lead because the swap as well.
That's true, right? And if you look at the 3 Pokemon that Tomahawk picked, he did go with the Diggersby as well as the Toxapex. 2 Pokemon that are just so bulky and can really manage their way through matchups. So
how much sleep was I on for day 1? I had 2 hours sleep. I had
honestly,
2 hours
decent
sleep.
matchups across the board. I mean, decent to favorable because it's one of the only Pokemon that can absorb Hydro Cannons from Feraligatr as well.
It wasn't optimal, but thankfully I didn't have to actually play too many games. And if I'm honest, like I feel like I had a fortunate bracket.
Sort of similar in a lot of those ways. Where I think
it could have been a harder bracket potentially. But yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't optimal to play on 2 hours sleep. That was my fault. That was my fault. I stayed up too late, and then my brain got past the threshold of when it wanted to go to sleep, and then I just could not sleep after that.
Yeah, you can't go in mid battle and TM your Azumarill to Solar Beam or anything like that, right? There's no way you can really hit back against it. Resisted Bubble, resisted Ice Beam, resisted Play Rough, resisted Hydro Pump, even if you have that. Really tough. But going to game number 2, I think that Cheese Curl's going to look to avoid the Toxapex Azumarill matchup. Let's see what our trainers decide to lead.
I think the dangerous thing here, right? And I think the dangerous thing that Cheese Curl's showing.
A little bit better, and I think that the Tomahawk has a plan.
Okay, I'm going to pause this one. The dangerous thing here is that when you bring Azumarill into a team that has Toxapex, honestly, the Toxapex will end up on the Azumarill at some point. And it doesn't matter if the Azumarill hard counters something, because Toxapex is still just going to fully farm it down at the end anyway. So it is dangerous bringing an Azumarill into a team that has Toxapex, especially when Toxapex is so reasonable against the rest of your team as well. He doesn't have that many hard responses to Toxapex. Okay, this is a game where I've led Talonflame into a water, and I've got a Diggersby in the back. For anyone that doesn't know, if Diggersby is 1 quick attack behind a Feraligatr, okay? If you are 1 quick attack behind Feraligatr, write this down. You're 1 quick attack behind a Feraligatr, Shadow Feraligatr. Shadow, has to be Shadow. In the 2 shield scenario, you can win straight Scorching Sands. Okay? Diggersby is a counter swap when you've got 2 shields to a Shadow Feraligatr. So I knew he leads Feraligatr, I can come in with Diggersby, and I know I can flip this matchup. He actually doesn't throw a Hydro Cannon, so he makes a mistake here, because if he throws a Hydro Cannon, he puts shield pressure on me. But he doesn't. He goes into Ariados, and he goes into Ariados a little bit late. So this is a mistake from him.
met with
and
Ariados
I'm
once
always
again
going to outpace the
coming
fire
into play. This
punches
one
at this
is
point.
still not
And
super
neither
favorable
Trailblaze nor
because
Fire Punch will
with this,
one shot,
little
right?
bit of a quick attack
So,
advantage,
and look, I'm not like I don't know Cheese Curl. I don't know
against
what
this
his
Ariados.
accolades are. I'm not criticizing him as a player. I'm just trying to show you that the plays could have been slightly different and can produce different results. That's all, right? So he counter swaps a little bit late. He counter swaps into an Ariados. It's probably not the counter swap. If you're wondering why does he counter swap into Ariados? Right? He's got an Azumarill on the back. Why is he counter swapping into Ariados? The only thing I can think is that he's seen a Talonflame lead. He knows he's got an Azumarill in the back, and he's thought, do you know what? Let me just get rid of this Ariados. I don't even mind if I lose Switch, because Talonflame has nowhere to go, and I'll punish Talonflame either way. And I've got a little bit of energy on my Feraligatr. Maybe Feraligatr can get through the rest. So that's why I think that he's gone into Ariados here. Okay, so it's not a stupid decision. Yes, because we can see the backlines, we might think it's the wrong decision, but I can understand why he felt that Ariados, he wanted to just get it out the way. He was like, there's no point.
Work to take down Diggersby if it's going to achieve that.
Yeah, another fire punch now coming through, making Cheese Curl decide, do I need to use a Protect Shield? Yes, correctly shielding this up because he is at a lot of energy here and wants to make Tomahawk do something similar, right? You at least need to get a Protect Shield here, but Tomahawk, once again, if you're looking at this team composition, this middle matchup is so important.
So I'm just going to match shields. As I say, I have the pacing advantage, so whatever he does, I will match.
Throws the fire punch here in the midst of a potential
true. I agree. Hydro Cannon first, then Ariados would have been absolutely fine.
Yeah, but what will he come in with at this point? That first game, he recognized, okay, these are Toxapex in the back, my Azumarill has no play. The Feraligatr comes back in.
I would have lost that game if he'd done that, I think. Potentially. And the reason is because if the Feraligatr builds up to a Hydro Cannon and throws the Hydro Cannon, I end with 5 quick attacks, so I have a Fire Punch. He then gets a free swap into the Ariados, and he can take a Fire Punch and just go straight Trailblaze, and he would win CMP against me on the last one. So he would have then got Switch. When Talonflame comes back in, he could have just then come in with a Azumarill if he'd wanted to. However, he then needs to come back in with Feraligatr into what he maybe doesn't realize was a Toxapex. So it could have been closer. Actually, the way that I end up playing this, he also could have won, but we'll show you. But that was because my mistake, and actually that was Eric's fault. So I'm going to tell you why later.
But the fast attacks of it are not going to be doing that much damage. Forced to throw
the reason I shield here.
This charge attack here, and it looks like Tomahawk is deciding if you.
Okay, does anyone want to guess before I tell you? Why do I shield Diggersby here? Why do I not let Diggersby go? Couple of reasons, to be fair, but there's one pretty big reason as to why I kept Diggersby here. No, it's actually not. So at this point, because he came in with Ariados into Diggersby, I thought he had a Clodsire in the back. I thought Clodsire was pretty good. Yeah, Bill, absolutely spot on. That's right. I thought Clodsire was a pretty good option into my team. I was like, you've come in with Ariados into my Diggersby because you can't come in with Clodsire, but you want to save your Feraligatr for Talonflame perhaps. And so I'm like, do I need to bank this Diggersby for later? Do I need to put more pressure on and see if I can preserve this Diggersby for a bit?
He wants to use that shield. He is. He's going to use that last shield on his side there because he wants to maintain some energy.
And that is why
this is going to be very interesting. Already
I bank my Scorching Sand and I get out of there. And I go into Toxapex on the basis that I expect him to now immediately swap to Clodsire.
The Scorching Sand coming in with the Toxapex.
My opponent makes the mistake, unfortunately. We've all been there. We've all been there, right? You see a counter swap and immediately you just try and... You see a swap and immediately you just try and counter swap. And this is hard. Like, look at my face, look at his face.
But now...
I shake my head because I feel bad. Like, I'm just like, I understand why you did that. And yeah, he laughs and he goes, I just, you swapped, I swapped. And I was like, I get it. I've done that exact same thing so many times. Okay, but I make a mistake, right? I make a mistake. Now, the night before, Eric was telling me, he was like, oh, the good thing about Toxapex is you can just throw a brine and fully farm down an Azumarill. And in this moment, I was like, oh, the Feraligator's got some energy. I could really, do with fully farming down this Azumarill and coming out with energy. And I was like, I remember Eric said I could throw a brine. And as I clicked it, I was like, I should probably just have thrown an undercharged Sludge Wave, and I'd still come out with 100 energy, but I guarantee doing a little bit more damage than brine. And as I threw this brine, I was like, have I found a lose con here?
Oh no, this is not what I wanted at all.
I'm actually throwing this, and in my head, like, I'm half smiling, and I'm like, this is a mistake. This is a mistake.
Cheese Curl doesn't fall for it.
I think at this point, Cheese Curl is just using the Azumarill as like a big,
and I'm trying to work out how much energy do I need. It wasn't even a BM, like I didn't even mean it like that, right? Like I do a BM later in the event, right? I throw a close combat on a Clodsire when it's in red health, right? But this one wasn't. This one was me listening to Eric and then watching my health go down, and I was like, I'm getting really close to Hydro Cannon range here, and if he snipes with Hydro Cannon and takes me out, I lose. Because Talonflame has nothing. I am panicking here, and I'm just like toxic. But okay, his mistake, right? His mistake is, I mean, it's not a mistake because you don't really know exactly how much it does, right? But if he stays in with the Azumarill a tiny bit longer, if he stays in a tiny bit longer and gets a tiny bit more damage, I look at the camera because I'm like, bollocks, right? Then that Hydro Cannon could have taken me out. So he actually could have taken me out here. And it's not like I can catch a Hydro Cannon on anything else, because if I catch it on the Diggersby, all that energy on the Diggersby's gone. And if he catches it on the Talonflame, he just lands it and probably full farms. He just slightly undercharges it and then full farms down the Talonflame and comes out with maybe, almost 2 Hydro Cannons. So I got very, very lucky here, right? I very much almost found the lose con by throwing that brine.
But later, not even enough to knock out the Toxapex. Toxapex 2.
I'm a very lucky boy. Very, very lucky boy there.
You have to shield. Great call by Cheese Curl to stay in this game, but as we pointed out,
and then I banked the Scorching Sands, and at this point, like, I know I'm okay now, right?
Sands, good thing Tom Hawk pressed the charge attack on the right, because if he chose the Fire Punch, this would not have turned out well. Scorching Sands connects. Feraligator barely hangs on.
Hanging on, but only by a thread, going down there to the 2 quick attacks, and in comes the Azumarill, and even though this Fire Punch is not going to be that effective,
I get very fortunate,
Pokemon, it will be enough to
very fortunate a couple of times there, right?
Victory in winners round 3.
The bulk on Toxapex is absolutely brain-breaking. I don't know.
So I got fortunate that he didn't throw a Hydro Cannon onto my Diggersby safe swap. I got fortunate that he counter-swapped the Azumarill into my Toxapex, and I got very, very fortunate that the Hydro Cannon didn't take out my Toxapex there. So I know it looked comfortable for me, but that was littered with mistakes. You learn, right? You learn, you just don't make the mistakes again, right? I will never be throwing a brine into an Azumarill like that ever again. Don't listen to Nighttime Clasher. So that was my winners round. That was my winners round 3. And I play. Who do I play after that? Winners round 4. I believe I play CO as a Beast. I can't remember those games in detail, but I think again there Diggersby Toxapex core just went through. So that core was really, really dominant for me in day 1. So what we'll do is we'll skip straight to my winners finals match, and this is against a friend of mine, Vala Ash. Met Vala Ash in Hawaii. Got on very well. He's such a nice guy. Such a nice guy. It's called Mason. He signature Pokemon Talonflame. Like an OG trainer, right? Anyone who's played for a long time, everyone knows Valarash. So getting to play him on stream was pretty cool. His team, I felt, was pretty good, and I was a little bit worried. And I'd actually scrimmed against him the week before. I was using a different team at that time, actually, but I'd scrimmed against him a week before, and he had honestly slaughtered me. So I was worried going into this, but one Pokemon on my team I felt was good into his team, and I also was conscious that I didn't get to showcase it in my matches against Cheeseco. So this is where, for the first time on stream, you get to see the big panda.
he told me that Guzzlord will not be very fun to play against because you only got that Azumarill.
Sackett, thank you very much for joining. Catch you later. Glad you're enjoying it.
Going up against is that Pangoro from Tomahawk.
Yeah, Nighttime Clash are constantly trying to sabotage me.
Gastrodon has not been a particularly common pick among the streamed matches, but looking across these teams, Tomahawk only has one Mud Slap.
Okay, so for context, this match, the winner of this match gets top 16. You get into day 2. If you win, you get in on winner's side, which is a huge advantage.
Oh my god, have a good lead for Alligator on the other side.
And here, I had a feeling, right? I had a feeling before this game that Valarash would play for Alligator and Dunsparce together. Now, my team is slightly worse into normal for Alligator than it is into Shadow for Alligator because it can survive a little bit more. But this team here, this team composition from Valarash is so weak to Pangoro. He's got no close combat resist, right? And there's no attack on his team that is faster than Pangoro. The best he's got is Hydro Cannon, which is the same pacing, but I win CMP. So Pangoro is almost guaranteed to do well in this team.
Shiny too! Oh my goodness!
Amazing show here, and it's gonna pace these close combats so quickly. You can just
And I just go, do you know what? Even if I debuff myself, it's not like Shadow Claws are going to do too much to me. Let's see what he does with a close combat, because at best I get a shield. Well, no, at worst I get a shield, right? At worst I get a shield, and at best
go straight for it. No remorse. If
this
gets shielded, it's going to be
watch
just
Valarash's expression.
Pacing every single 5. Oh my goodness.
No shield. Look
Oh,
at
wow.
damage.
Wow.
Rocking for Alligator.
He was not expecting the close combat. He definitely wasn't expecting it to do that much. And he whispers to me, he says into the mic, he goes, "That did a lot more than I thought it would."
Chop down. Valor Ash, ABA weak. Both the Feraligatr and the Dunsparce do not want to see.
And when he comes in with Gastrodon here, straight away, I'm like, I know you've got a Dunsparce in the back. And Dunsparce is the reason I picked Pangoro, right? Dunsparce, he could have caught that. Oh, I could have caught the Hydro. I don't want to catch the Hydro. I don't want to catch the Hydro. I want him to show me his team. If I switch out first, then I'm giving up all of the advantage I got from the lead. If there is an Azumarill in the back, if there's a Talonflame in the back or something, you do not want your Pangoro lined up against it. So I wanted to keep alignment, and I wanted Pangoro exactly where I needed it to be. As soon as he came in with Gastrodon, I was so confident that it was a Dunsparce in the back. Because so many players lead Gastrodon, lead for Alligator, and safe swap Dunsparce. I've seen it so many times.
This Pokemon.
So I see the Gastrodon, and I go, get out of there, and I guarantee a Dunsparce is going to come out in a minute.
Oh, and the switch here, what do? I feel like he's trapped in this matchup, essentially.
Okay, did I not throw the wrong move on Pangoro a single time? Listen, this is exactly what I'm trying to say. In a new meta, if I bring a Pokemon that not many people have played against, like, you could argue I am better with Pangoro than they are ever going to be against a Pangoro, because they just don't play against them. So I know where I need to throw. They don't know, so they're shielding random times and random points. It's all good and well, Nighttime Clasher over voice when he can see which attack I'm throwing, saying, "Oh, they need to no shield this." But like, it's scary, right? When everyone who watched that game saw how much close combat does, you're worried. You want to shield it.
If you go to the Dunsparce, it's not a great match.
Yeah, and half the time I don't even need to bait. But you have to, like, the energy management is like, it is pretty tough, right? You have to count so far in advance as to how many attacks I'm going to need. So there were times where I was like, I'm going to need 2 Night Slashes, then a close combat, otherwise I'll get outpaced in the end game.
With no, at least on the team of 3, no Mud Slap resist. This energy is very valuable on that Gastrodon.
And I know Pangoro is glassy, but I don't feel it's as glassy as people think it is. I don't think it's as glassy as people think it is.
Reposition and try and sweep with that Gastrodon, because that final Pokemon, Toxapex, would not appreciate going up against it.
I really like what Valor
actually yeah. I mean, most Pangoro have okay HP. Mine doesn't have a ton of HP, but you guys know that I don't run high rank stuff. Here, Earth Power obviously takes me out, but Valarash goes, well, I'm going to throw a Body Slam because it's a Pangoro. And I'm like, I know I survived this. and I know I get 2 attacks off with this. Obviously, I can't survive another Mud Slap, right? And I can't rely that I can reach a close combat, so I'm just going to double throw a Night Slash. Now, you'll listen to Eric. Eric will say something along the lines of, you need to no-shield this. Now, I don't think Eric realizes that Night Slash is stab from a Pokemon that has nearly 140 attack, right? That Night Slash does a lot of damage, even if he no-shields it. So I actually think that he is still correct to shield this Night, even if he knows it's a Night Slash. It's still correct to shield the Night Slash. As we see in the end game, what do I have in the back? I've got a Toxapex, right? Night Slash does a heck of a lot more than Brine from Toxapex. So this is a correct shield from Valarash, even though it looks like it's a bait. Night Slash does a lot of damage.
No, but Brine will not knock out. However, with bubble damage, maybe there's a chance. In comes Toxapex. It hits the field of play, but this Gastrodon energy is about to go everywhere.
Giving him a free poison jab there, this might make it a little bit more uncomfortable. Great shield from Tomahawk UK, but maybe if there's a debuff, this next one will completely knock it out. There needs to be a catch. There needs to be a catch from the Azumarill here to soak this Earth Power. Otherwise, I think this may knock out the Toxapex with the Mud Slap damage.
This will come down to a prediction. Can Tomahawk predict
So I think here that Valarash thought that I would hard swap into the Azumarill. And so he tried to catch onto the Dunsparce, maybe. And it ends up looking like it was a mistake. If you remember, can anyone remember how much energy does my Azumarill have? Tell me. You all watched, right? How much energy does my Azumarill have? If you were watching properly, you'd be able to tell me exactly how much energy it has. It has 3 bubbles. Is that what you're guessing? 3 bubbles? You didn't all face me? No, but this is what I'm saying. This is why it's so hard, right? Because it's very easy for Eric to call out Valarash for saying, oh, why did he swap to try and catch, right? But I don't reckon anyone remembers, without checking, how much energy my Azumarill has. So let's say I had an attack. Let's say I had a move ready on Azumarill, and I come in with the Azumarill now and snipe his Gastrodon, then that's game over. So he's thinking about that. He knows that, like, I haven't. He knows he's played me plenty of times, right? He knows I've got an aggressive playstyle, and that if I had any energy on Azumarill, that I might come in. So I can understand why he's thinking about that, right? Yeah, it was quite a long time ago that I dipped out. It was quite a long time ago. Should we actually go check? Should we go check how much energy did my Azumarill have? Because I can't remember now either. I don't think I had an attack, but
I really like what Valarash is doing here. The switch clocks are going to be up. He can come in here and snipe with that Gastrodon if he does choose to do so. Penguins are going to be up. He can
okay, looks like I had 2 bubbles, I think.
That Gastrodon if he does choose to do so. Pangoro comes.
So you get to see it ever so slightly. I don't know if you can see that. I can see it just from here. But I didn't have an attack on Azumarill. I do have enough health to reach an attack. So if I had come in with Azumarill, he would have had to be very careful with the Gastrodon. So he didn't need to make a catch, but Azumarill would have reached a move. I can't be farmed down.
From Tomahawk doesn't get it right, and now can this?
And then again,
KO?
right? Again, just by not my chance, but I survived this Earth Power.
Oh,
not only do I survive it, I survived that. That is what I survived. And I win because of it. And we remember the Diggersby in the earlier game, that I'm surviving by like these slivers. So if that Mud Slap takes out that Toxapex, he wins the game. That's how close these are.
Oh, it doesn't KO. And the
that's how close these are. They're crazy, crazy.
The Toxapex, I can't even see its health bar, barely hanging on, knocking out the Gastrodon, and that's a game 1 win for Tomahawk.
In a weird way, is it even necessary to try to...
My Toxapex has 15 defense. Yeah, my Toxapex has 15 defense. High defense Toxapex is so good. It's just if you're interested, right? Toxapex's defense is so high that Psywave, which is super effective from Malamar, still only does 2 HP. Still only does 2 damage, right? 2 HP worth of damage per Psywave. Because its defense is so high that it being super effective still can't reach the 3 damage. That's crazy, right? That is crazy that it does like the same as like a lick, and it's a super effective, much more powerful Psy Wave. It's not rank 1 Diego. I actually have a higher rank Toxapex, but I personally don't run high rank Pokemon in Show 6. So I built a different Toxapex for this tournament. Right, those are my only 2 games in day 1, so we'll go straight to day 2.
That would be impossible last season before the max out season update. So
I got to go into day 2. I hadn't dropped a game actually.
And I think that the crunch debuff can also not be understated. That's what really
3 balls. Okay, cool. So I was two off. Yeah, Fareed IVs. Yeah, my IV spreads. Look, for anyone who's watching and is like, oh, how do I get rank 1s? How do I get high rank Pokemon? I don't run them, okay? If I look at a rank 1 in my storage, I'm like, well, I'm not building that. The reason is, there's a couple of reasons for anyone who's wondering. So in GBL, sure, run a rank 1. In Show 6, particularly when you're using meta Pokemon, right? You have the potential, right, to be in mirror matchups a reasonable amount. And if you're in a mirror matchup, there might be a balance between bulk and winning CMP. And if you run a rank 1, you can only have a 50% chance, generally speaking, you can only have a 50% chance of winning CMP against another rank 1, right? That means your maximum probability of winning CMP typically is only ever 50%. And I don't want to leave it to those chances, right? So I generally run a little bit of attack. If I need bulk on the Pokemon, then I'll run a tiny bit of attack with still lots of bulk. But I want to give myself slightly higher than 50% chance, because that can make the difference, right? This the whole game, right? As with many games, right? It's about taking reasonable precautions. It's about balancing risk, and in my mind, it's more beneficial to have the chance of winning CMP than leaving it to a maximum 50-50 coin toss. Yeah, PvP David, I know is a similar style player. Like, you want to win CMP, and depending on how much you want to win CMP, you can go for a really high attack, which I do on some Pokemon, where I'm like, do you know what? I don't want it to even be 55%, right? I want it to be 99% likely that I will win CMP here, because I'm going to play so aggressively that if I mess this up, I will lose the game guaranteed, right? I need to, and that's just me, right? Then you don't have to play as aggressively as I play, but there is some merit to just playing high attack.
Then obviously,
did I predict that Toxapex would have a high usage? No, there are actually 2 reasons. So the main reason for Toxapex to have a tiny bit of attack is that Toxapex reaches a very easy poison jab breakpoint against Arctobax. And I wasn't sure if people would use Arctobax, but I was conscious that my team could be vulnerable to Arctobax. And by having the poison jab breakpoint against Arctobax, my Toxapex wins all shield scenarios. So that was the reason for Toxapex. For a couple of my other Pokemon, is more likely to be the mirrors that I've talked about. So with Azumarill, tiny bit of attack, just because winning CMP in the mirror can be pretty crucial, right? You can dictate alignment with an Azumarill mirror in the lead because of attack. All even shield scenarios. Yeah, all even shield scenarios.
Means that it has to be true. So in that regard, who do we have up next? Because if you're saying it, it's got to be true.
Well, it looks like we're going to have Tomahawk UK versus Kelsey on stage. And this is going to be really fun. We actually spoke with Tomahawk a couple times this morning.
Calvin, how you doing, mate?
He's going to run some
good evening
lines because
good night.
His team is very similar to Andrew's, and Andrew Manjarez was defeated by Kelsey in stunning fashion yesterday, knocking him down to that loser side bracket. So Tomahawk again is looking at that.
This is true. This is true. So if you didn't hear that, I had a reasonably similar team to
so this is actually going to be a very
to Andrew Manjarez, who Kelsey played the day before in day 1. She beat him She's a very, very good player, right? She's typically been a Master League player. This is a pretty good World's Top 16 finalist. Just need a gold, guys. I just need one gold. One day, maybe one day. Kelsey is a very, very good player. She's typically played a lot of Master League, coming down into the Great League format, and she's showing a lot of top players that she is very, very good. So, one sec, I want to read that. What does that say? Kelsey's your local, and before the tournament, she said she wasn't worried about Pangoro. They always bait. What can I say? What can I say? They always never don't not bait.
Those picks, so I wonder if Tomahawk will try to play around the Talonflame on the other side with potentially his other two.
I was worried going into this game because I felt that Kelsey's team was pretty good into mine.
Special trainer here is Kelsey, Baltimore Regional Top 16, the first accolade on that list. But I got to tell you, if Kelsey attends more events, that list will surely grow because she was so impressive yesterday against some of the
reason why it's good is this, by the way, the Dugong and the Shadow Drapion, I think were very safe.
An Earthquake, as well as the Double Fly, Talonflame, and that Shadow Drapion that was so good for Elite. I'm sure Kelsey was in the crowd taking notes after that first round as well.
Yeah, K9 generally speaking, and I was telling a couple of the guys earlier today, Machamp is a lot easier to use. If you want to use a fighter, I'd probably recommend using Machamp. It is much easier. You don't need to bait as much. You do need to bait in some matchups, but you don't need to bait anywhere near as much. It's a lot easier to use for a Karate Chop user.
Speaking of it, we've got it on the field.
So I'll go into this in a minute, but yeah, Pangoro's a lot of fun, but it's a lot harder to use. I had to play a ton with Pangoro before I felt like I was comfortable enough to use it. It's not that easy to get right. Machamp's very, very strong as well, and I think a little bit easier to use. Okay, so I ran Diggersby Double Water. I felt that this team was the safest team into any line that Kelsey could bring in game one, and I had prepared for a Dugong lead. So I was like, I kind of do expect Dugong, but I don't want to go hard into Dugong lead because I could have done that, right? I could have read that it would probably be Dugong double poison, which it is, and it did end up being, and I thought about it. However, when I was building teams that were, because I get to practice overnight on this, right? We know each other's teams and we know who our opponents are for the next day. When I was practicing leading very strong into Dugong, I was losing if it wasn't Dugong. And so I was like, I would rather lose lead versus Dugong than try and call it, get it wrong, and struggle to flip. Whereas with this matchup, I practiced against this exact line of three, and I was like, I know I can flip this matchup.
Here versus the Diggersby from Tomahawk. This is a solid matchup for Kelsey, especially if she starts to spin off these Icy Winds.
Yeah, Icy Winds will not be available beforehand. It looks like Tomahawk's going straight for that Scorching Sands, looking to do a bit of damage before getting debuffed and possibly having a chance of debuffing the attack of Kelsey's Dugong. Will it be able to do that? Does connect. Dugong still healthy, still in the green, and an immediate swap out to try to...
So I throw a Scorching Sands, I get the Dugong, almost towards half health, and I come in with an Azumarill where I am so confident that there is not a Superior in the back. I am so confident that it's double poison in the back, and that bringing in a Azumarill will make Kelsey have to think about what she wants to do. Because if she comes in with either of those poisons, she risks losing alignment, she risks losing that matchup. If she stays in with Dugong too long, then the switch clocks become too misaligned. So it gives me a little bit of time while Kelsey has to think about what she wants to do. The reason why I'm pretty confident it's not a Superior in the back, partly is because I had a feeling that Dugong double poison makes the most sense. I guess you could say Dugong into a Toxapex lead would be ABA weak. But I think when I scrimmed with her team, I was like building lines for her to see what I would use if I had her team, and Dugong double poison just made way more sense. So I think that someone says at some point, oh, he's bringing in a Azumarill when there could have been a Superior. I was so confident there wasn't a superior.
Kelsey, patient as ever, going for the skill run here.
She's looking at her back line, right? Kind of surveying her inventory. She knows she's got the Drapium with the Poison Sting, she's got the Clodsire, but she doesn't have any super effective charge attacks. This is the same problem that Elite was running into against 610 Heroes Azumarill, so she's got to find ways
And I
to
throw
do
a
it.
play
I think
rough
that
here
chipping
because
it
if I
out to
throw an
drill
Ice
run's a
Beam,
great
I'm
start.
probably not going to be able to bubble down. So I'm not interested in baiting. I land the play rough. I can now bubble down from here. I wouldn't have been able to if it were an Ice Beam.
As well, and the Poison Stings are really the only thing that are doing a lot of damage. Hoping for this crunch debuff as
And I'm looking there at the team sheet, but I played against the line. I practiced against the line. I was like, I know it's going to be a Clodsire in the back. I get the debuff. Kelsey gets the crunch debuff, so I do shield up. But I don't really mind that shield because my energy has use. However, I realise that because I'm debuffed, the Poison Stings are doing more, and I'm actually now potentially in Aqua Tail range. And so I actually have to throw here because I don't want to have to risk taking an Aqua Tail. I don't think I would survive the Aqua Tail from here. So because of that debuff, it doesn't play exactly how my practice had played out because that hadn't happened in practice. Would it have been better to Icy Wind and dip rather than Drill Run? Potentially. Potentially straight away Icy Winding and getting out of there could have worked. Yeah.
Knockout. Tomahawk wants his Drapion off the field.
Wow, he did not want to take any risks. I think
Do I have an unspoken rule on Diggersby in shielding? Do I have a shield first in case you get an attack drop? No, I don't.
another bubble.
I don't play Diggersby for the Scorching Sands attack drop personally. That's it's Scorching Sands is 30%. I don't play it with that in mind. If I get a debuff, that's kind of a bonus. But I'm very rarely playing for the Scorching Sands debuff.
Would have done it, but just says, okay, get that drop in, gone. What is coming in? But when I see this low of health, I just see farm at this stage in this tournament.
And look at this, the Poison Stings are adding up. Azumarill trying to get to the Ice Beam, can't do it!
So again, I missed the attack, right? You remember the Clodsire missed the attack against their Azumarill. This time my Azumarill misses the attack against the Clodsire. It would have helped, but honestly, Diggersby's so good into Clodsire that even a shield down, it generally wins. I am already a little bit lower on health, so I've got to be a bit careful, but I'm going to rely on Toxapex to just punch through now.
Trying to just soak up a little bit of this energy, but guess what?
Yeah.
Even though this Pokemon...
Oh, so if anyone doesn't know, right? If you are a Dugong and you're up against an Azumarill, just go Icy Wind. Just keep throwing Icy Wind. If you can get that Azumarill 2-3 stage debuffed, you'll win, right? So just stay in, just go Icy Wind. Doesn't matter if they don't shield. You debuff it enough that their play roughs can't really do anything to you. No, you can do more Icy Winds, Josh. You can just go Icy Wind for a few times if you want to. You'll still win.
Is so bulky. These drill runs are super effective.
This matchup is very playable for Kelsey. I mean, if for Tomahawk, you have to get to the Sludge Wave. This could be a bait type scenario, so Kelsey has to be aware of that. But the drill runs are coming on fast and heavy, and they're dealing tons of super effective
look
damage.
how
I think
bulky.
she still has a lot of flexibility here.
Look how bulky Toxapex is. Right, these are super effective drill runs, and Kelsey's needing 3 to take out the Toxapex. Okay, I make a timing error here. I hit 100 energy. Again, it's because I didn't think she was going to shield, so I didn't think it would make a difference. But she does shield, but it's fine because I'm just gonna punch this down.
Should he not use a shield?
Yeah, I adore the shield by Kelsey. I think you have to do that because the Poison Sting down is really tough to do. So now at this point, she's able to bring the Clodsire, met by the Diggersby safe swap.
Now this, if I say so myself, was my best bait of the tournament. Here, Clodsire is on a huge amount of HP. It survives a Scorching Sand, but I've realised that I will not survive to 2 Scorching Sands. And I felt that it must be so obvious that I'm going to throw a Scorching Sand here that in that moment I was like, I have to bait if I want to reach my next Scorching Sand. I have to.
Bait calls the shield from Kelsey here. This is massive for Tomahawk.
This is the last shield on Kelsey's side. This Fire Punch was just a bait.
And now have a look at this bulk on Diggersby, because this is insane, right? This is a stab Earthquake, right? Same time attack bonus, Earthquake from Clodsire, and
Kelsey needs this knockout.
I actually wonder if this is the match where I whisper to myself, please live, please live. there is a point where I just say,
This
please
firefight
live
was
to myself.
Just a bait, but will he be able to get to a scorching sands in time? An earthquake is loaded. It is being deployed here. No shields left on the Diggersby either.
Okay, I don't know if you can see that. I don't know how big it is, but I genuinely close my eyes and I go, please live. I'll do it. I'll play it one more time.
Shield on Kelsey's side. This fire punch was just a bait, but will he be able to get to a scorching sands in time? An earthquake is loaded. It is being deployed here. No shields left on the Diggersby either. We know this Pokemon has a lot of HP in defense, but can it withstand the earthquake of the Clodsire?
Kelsey needs this knockout. She doesn't get it. Scorching Sands is
Easy.
there because of that
Easy.
ground typing on the Diggersby, but is this enough?
Yeah,
of a
this is-
setup?
this is a
this
pretty
gonna weaken
high-ranked
the
Diggersby.
Clodsire enough to put it within brine range? That is the real question here.
There is
And then as
Brian
soon as that
almost
that
loaded.
scorching
He's
sands
already loaded
lands,
here, throwing it right at a
it's now in
fantastic
brine
timing.
range.
This is a game that's coming down to the wire. Will
And that
the
was
run
that.
be
Bear in
enough?
mind,
'Cause
right?
if
This
it's not,
is
there's a
the
Stone Edge loaded.
this is the Diggersby
Clodsire gets
into
KO'd there, coming
Dugong
in
lead
with Dugong
game.
now. Dugong gonna try to
right?
base her charge attack, but that Toxic
So,
is just so bulky.
in the
It resists
practice
ice
that
charge.
I've done,
it's able to get the poison jab down.
remember that
Well,
I hadn't got the
hanging
debuff
on
against the
by a
Azumarill,
thread there.
so I'd
Those
landed an
so
Ice Beam from
incredibly
Azumarill against the
close
Clodsire.
matches
So
in
that's
that
why I
fight.
got a little
Not
bit
enough
dicey, because I
time on the
didn't ever get to
Clodsire. It would've
land
been a
that Ice Beam.
Completely different story. This is a battle of
I was
the
buzzing with that.
bulky
I was buzzing
Pokemon,
with that
and
win,
we are
right?
seeing it live here in Baltimore.
We expect great things from Tomahawk, right? Runner-up at multiple competitions, top 16 at Worlds. Everyone's
Yeah,
familiar,
I think
but
Kel-
just need to
yeah,
call
I can-
out
you can
some of
understand
the
that
subtle
frustration,
cues
right?
That Kelsey is giving the audience here.
Because
she knows exactly what the win condition
on
is.
paper-
she knows when she needs the knockouts. She knows
on paper, it's
exactly
an ice
how
type
this
into my
game
ground
needs
type,
to unfold for her to get the victory.
a
And I think
poison
that-
type into
that
my fairy,
awareness, you can
and
see
a
in her
ground
body
type
language
into my
and her
poison.
plays and her switches. She knows
So on
this game
paper,
so
that should have
well,
been-
and I'm looking
that
for her
should
to
have been
bounce back
hers.
in game number 2.
Yeah, those games were
What-
so
what
close
helps?
against someone
50
who has
second
so
switch
many
timer.
second place
50-second
finishes.
switch
The
timer
fact that
has
she was able to play that game
genuinely
so close is
changed the
so
way that this
impressive,
game is
and I'm
played.
anxious to
It's
see what she
so
can bring
good.
to game
It
number
it
2.
allows so
Let's
much
go
more
ahead and kind
dynamic
of
play.
rewind because
So many more catches. You would have seen so if you guys were watching Baltimore, you would have seen so many catches during those games. During all of the
I think
matches,
so,
so many
right?
catches because the
Man,
10-second
that is
quicker
a
clock
gutsy-
makes a
gutsy
massive
move.
difference.
Crazy business, right? But when you have Pokemon like Superior, like Talonflame, you know, we talk about the Fire, Water, and Grass trio being popular not only in Pokemon Go, but also in Pokemon VGC. When you
Right,
have
I'll skip
matchup,
through to game
Kelsey's
number
hoping to play
2.
in Baltimore. He has not lost a single game so far. We're hopping into game number 2. I think Kelsey's hoping that she can change this record as we have a Talonflame against a Pangoro here. We've seen the Pangoro play on his part, though. We'll have to see
For
how he
anyone
wants
that
to play
doesn't
this.
know,
Not so great matchup out going for the Night Slash.
Pangoro wins the
timing
2-shield
here.
scenario against
yeah, I don't-
Talonflame.
Neither the Night Slash nor the close combat would be enough to knock out the Talonflame.
And
Yeah, was
I
gonna
say
I
that
don't
because
see
I
any
remember
reason
reading a
Shield
comment
here,
in
even if it is the
chat
close combat,
when I
'cause it is
rewatched this the
resisted.
first time.
But the Pangoro does get the boost. Tomahawk gives
I remember reading a comment in chat that no, not always. San Diego, it is actually IV dependent. But I remember reading a comment in chat that something about that Talonflame is an obvious answer to Pangoro, but actually in the 2-shield scenario, Pangoro can win that. It is a little bit IV dependent. I do get a boost here. It doesn't actually make a
little
difference.
smirk
This
there. He
boost.
says, "Oh, man,
It's just
I was
funny,
in
if
a
anything
solid
else,
position,
but-
now
So if you have attack on your Talonflame, then you can reach Incinerate breakpoints versus Pangoro that can flip it. If you're running a high ranked Talonflame and you don't, then a lot of Pangoro will win that anyway. So a bad take in chat, no way. Yeah. So this boost is just funny,
how things are
and honestly, if anything, it's just a little bit off-putting for Kelsey because it makes her think that she has to play it differently. But actually, if she'd let this Night Slash through, I win anyway.
changing for the better.
Yeah, forcing the shield because this Night Slash would do so much damage after an attack boost. Going for one Incinerate.
And then you can see there that you've got to be careful with Incinerate, right? You've got to wait for the attack because I know a fly's coming, and I want to save the Pangoro because I know that there's a Dugong somewhere.
Here, going for a fly. This is the problem with Incinerate. It just gets a little predictable if you want to have good timing here. And Tomahawk catches the fly onto the Clodsire. I mean, still does have a chunk of damage. Getting one more Incinerate through. Going for another one right before the Sludge Bomb is loaded.
Okay. That there is an example as to why Kelsey is so good. I'm gonna rewind that. Okay, I'm gonna tell you here.
This is the problem with Incinerate. It just gets
Kelsey
a little
sees that her
predictable if you
attack
wanna have
has been
good
caught.
timing here, and Tomahawk
Now,
catches the
we
fly
saw-
onto the Clodsire. I mean, still does.
We saw in the match against Cheese Curl, do you remember where I swapped and he instinctively counter swapped? And as I say, we've all been there, right? We've all been there, but that is obviously not optimal play. It's an inexperienced play, let's say. Kelsey here has seen that her attack has got caught. She knows I don't have Stone Edge. She could very easily land that fly and go straight into Dugong. But she doesn't do that. And because she doesn't do that, she wins this game. She stays in with Talonflame. She knows that I don't reach my Sludge Bomb yet. She knows that the Poison Stings aren't doing anything, and she goes and banks 2 flies. And if she didn't do that, she would lose. But by doing this, spoiler alert, she ends up winning this game. And she goes into Dugong anyway, right? She's going to go into Dugong eventually. She knows she doesn't need to go in early. She does not rush. She banks those 2 flies. Pokemango, thank you so much for the raid, dude. Hope you had a good stream. We're doing a Baltimore recap. Welcome in everyone from the Mango stream. Hope you enjoyed. Why did I swap the Clod rather than the Azu? Maxwell asks. What was this game? So this was Pangoro, Clodsire, Azumarill. Maxwell, because I was expecting and hoping for a Clodsire in the back, and if she had insta-swapped Talonflame out, in my head, I was thinking that Azumarill could sweep both. I think that's what I was thinking. I was like, get the Dugong out, Pangoro will finish the Dugong off, and then put everything on Azumarill for a Talonflame Clodsire backline. I think that's what I was going for.
Low, but Kelsey looks like she has a plan here, patient as ever, just getting up so much energy. Can't go for the farm.
Look at this energy management as well from Kelsey, right? Right before Sludge Bomb comes, she's got back-to-back Icy Winds now, so I can't even shield because she just wins CMP.
This week because she knows there's a Pangoro, so she knows she doesn't want to get farmed down.
And I'm not going to come in with Pangoro here because in my head I was like, oh, Pangoro can finish off the Dugong, but the problem is the Dugong's now got energy, so I can't farm it down, and I don't want to shield the Pangoro, and obviously throwing an attack on it loses. So now I'm starting to get worried because I'm going to have to start to take energy on Azumarill. My Pangoro's energy is pretty useless right now. I can, at best, throw a Night Slash into a Talonflame. I'm pretty sure there's a Clodsire in the back at this point.
Down, and in order to circumvent that, Tomahawk brings in the Azumarill because he knows he can get more farm with the resisted bubbles.
At this point, however,
and the bubbles aren't doing much, right?
And doesn't want to be able to take...
There's a mistake from me. I didn't need to come in with Pangoro here. I should have just kept the energy on it and used it later. This was a mistake from me. It was because I was nervous about how much damage I was taking on the Azumarill that I was going to be in range of the Talonflame and the Clodsire. But that was a mistake.
In with the Clodsire into the Pangoro. 2 great Pangoro answers here. Clodsire being able to just absorb this damage that the Talonflame would not be able to do here. Tomahawk got 1 boost in the game, but not so lucky.
I'm trying to think, right? So if I had stayed in with the Azumarill, if I had farmed down that Dugong, does Kelsey come in with Talonflame and try and back-to-back fly? Maybe. She'd know that I'd probably catch one of them on Pangoro, so maybe she wouldn't want to do that. She's got a shield. Don't know. Either way, me coming with Pangoro was the wrong thing to do.
At this point, gonna get poison jab down, but not before he gives a parting
because this energy is not an efficient use of Pangoro's energy, and not an efficient use of the fact that it wins CMP. Because as you'll see in the end game, because I can't win CMP, Kelsey has a very safe back-to-back fly that she can throw. There's nothing I'm going to be able to do about it. I'm doing my best to stay out of fly range because I know that she's got back-to-back flies, but I'm too slow, right?
An Icy Wind could be stored or thrown at this point. If she can lower the attack of the Azumarill, she might be in an okay position. She's got double flies loaded on the
And I nod here because I go, that shield was your... That's how you win, right? You shield that, you know I probably can't shield this.
But this game is still incredibly close.
She cannot switch
and
into Talonflame right
yeah,
now.
That's my expression for I know this game's gone. But the only thing I can hope for at this point is that she makes a mistake. But she's not going to make a mistake. So I say well played here because that's obvious, right? She's got the double fly. And if she didn't have the double fly, right? We said earlier, why was it so good? You can actually hear loads of girls cheering in the crowd because she had a lot of support.
This entire Baltimore series.
Wow.
If she hadn't banked the double fly,
first chip in the
and she tried to do it
armor, that
later,
is
she would be
Tomahawk
taking
UK,
bubble
and
damage
Kelsey was the one who drew the sword.
rather than
We're
poison
headed
sting
to game
damage.
number
So
three.
just think about that for a second. When she was banking those flies, she was taking poison sting damage. If she had tried it later, she would have been taking bubble damage and potentially not have reached double fly. So that's why it was so good that she did it at the time.
Here, just a
Murphy,
few
you were cheering
short
as well?
Minutes, but what a series
Fair
this has
enough.
been so
I
far.
understand.
Amanda, what are
I
your
understand.
expectations in game number 3? I think there is no remote possibility that Pangoro comes back.
I mean, listen here. I could give you my expectations and ability, but they're just going to be thrown right out of the window because that game was just incredible. The back and forth between these
start
two
crying a
trainers,
little bit,
you
I
could
guess.
see just the wheels turning in each of their heads and the patience of Kelsey not swapping out on the Talonflame, being able to store that energy, which proves so vital later in the game.
As we take a look back at our
Yeah,
replay
Kelsey
for
seems
game
really
number 2,
nice. That was
the
the,
ice
so
beam, Azumarill
I'm
was
best
able to
friends
KO
with
the
Kelsey in
Clodsire,
game, but this is the
and then
first
we
time
see
I'd met her in
Kelsey,
person.
They're talking out on the
She was
stage.
super nice.
Tomahawk says, "You've got the double, right? You've got the double." She says, "Yes, I do." Tomahawk says, "All right, well then
You
this
put all
game
your channel
is
points on me.
yours."
I
Doesn't even
Heartless
bother to
Mosaic,
throw
I
the tech
appreciate
shield.
that. I
He just wants to
appreciate you.
get to game number 3. And as we think of game number 3, as we make our predictions, my key prediction here for Tomahawk is that he will go back to the comfort pick of Toxapex. It's so tough for Kelsey to get rid of, and with the team she just brought, there's a lot of play into that squad.
I mean, we saw it even be
Yeah,
able
she
to take
and,
on that
and she
Dugong,
was
those
definitely
poison
she was
jabs
definitely one of the
continuing to add
hardest
up.
players I played
Azumarill
against
on
in
Kelsey's
Baltimore.
side
I
doesn't
think.
want anything to do with it. Neither does the Superior. I think Toxapex has a lot of play. The question, I mean, yeah, the real question is, what does he pair it with, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we saw game number 1, he was just had bulk.
Can't actually remember what I
bulk
lead in this
galore.
next game.
I think that that turned out to be a tried and true method for him so far, but he, like you said, we talked to him this morning, he was mentioning Kelsey's team is a menace for mine.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is definitely tough to get over some
Yeah,
of
no,
these
Murphy,
picks that
I
she
get it,
has
I
on
get it.
her
You just want to
squad.
see
We
good
have not
games at
seen
the end,
Superior
right?
at all from Kelsey, if
When
I'm not
people that you
mistaken.
like are
And for
playing, you
Tomahawk,
just go,
we've seen-
right,
I think
well,
he might have
best
used
player,
every
go
single
win it.
Pokemon on his team at this point.
He's just getting a lot of utility, right? He's like, all right, you get off the bench, you can play a couple rounds here.
Yeah, he's throwing
We
the
can
kitchen
all
sink.
play in the rounds. We are jumping into decisive game number 3. We got the Azumarill in the lead versus that Clodsire. We've seen it.
Okay.
plenty.
So, in this game, I don't know if you heard it. I don't know. I might have skipped past it. Actually, should I go back? Anyway, in between these games, in between games 2 and 3, Speedy says to Amanda, he says, there is no way Tomahawk will use Pangoro in game 3 after it went down the way it did in game 2, right? It got poison sting down by that Clodsire. He goes, there is no way that Pangoro comes in game 3. But I felt very, very confident that for game 3, Kelsey would use Dugong as a safe swap. So I played what I felt was the safest lead for me because I knew she'd like to use the Clodsire and I knew she'd like to use the Talonflame. And I was like, I'll play Azumarill. And I was still so confident that if that Dugong is going to come, which it has to, right? It's very good. It's very neutral into my team. Then I have to punish it with something. I don't want to try and play neutrally around something that's debuffing me constantly, because that's very annoying.
Of times already, but not in this actual position. On even energy, it's going to take 2 ice beams to knock it out.
Yes.
And those
Actually, Sandy, could you remind me to talk about Azumarill and for Alligator later, because I will talk about them.
I think
And I want to talk to you guys. I want to tell you something about for Alligator. Okay, so here, I know that this is an Earthquake, and if Azumarill wants to win this matchup, it needs to shield the Earthquake, but I also know I do not want Pangoro to be at a shield deficit.
Oh, she died.
And so I don't shield that. And if she stays in here, she potentially would win this lead. But as I say, if you're using a Dugong, players like to use the Dugong safe swap. And it comes in here.
Oh, she goes ahead.
Oh, she
Panda
does.
party time.
Dugong and Tomahawk says, surprise! In comes the karate chop. Pangoro pacing so quickly. And this is the gutsiest
Who was it that said, where's Ivy Pips? Are you still around? Pangoro players, they always bait.
play. Going straight for the Krillos combat because he knows it's going to debuff himself. No shield by Kelsey, and down goes the Dugong.
Yeah,
That's a lot of damage.
that's a lot of damage indeed, right? In my head, I'm like, the only way I lose this matchup is if I bait. So I was like, I'm not risking a bait here. I am going to go straight into Pangoro. If she shields a close combat, then I would bank up 2 close combats, shield any attack she throws, but I'd still survive all of the ice shards, and I still guarantee switch there.
Onto the Dugong.
If it was Serp lead, I considered it would being a Serperia lead, and I remember thinking that it's unlikely to be a Serperia lead. I've got a Toxapex, I've got a Clodsire with Sludge Bomb, I've got a Talonflame, and if I lead Pangoro, then I've got a Pangoro because that wins Serperia even energy with 2 shields. So you have to, you've got to make some predictions. You've got to be ABA slightly, right? If it were a Serp lead, I'd just go hard into Pangoro, I guess, and try and bait out a Clodsire so that maybe Toxapex could sweep in the back. And bear in mind Azumarill with some energy with Ice Beam as well. So it wasn't like a stupid ABA, but it was ABA week 2 to Serperia. I really just wasn't expecting Serperia's into the team.
As you see the Talonflame come out here and try to look for a big farm down, we saw the Pangoros close combat annihilate that Dugong, and now the
Murphy, I wish I'd got to watch more of your games as well, actually.
But look at the back line for Tomahawk. He's revealed the Azumarill, but he also has another water type in the back. This is actually very smart by Kelsey to bring out the Talonflame.
Again, look at this. Kelsey knows that I've actually just reached a close combat. Maybe she just wants to preserve some health on the Talonflame anyway, but actually a close combat gets very close to knocking out Talonflame here. It does more damage. Close combat does more damage than a Night Slash does, even though it's resisted.
Close combat again. You saw how much it did from this fighting type Pokemon with such a high attack, getting that shield off of Kelsey.
Yeah, K9 exactly right. If I counter swap Pangoro into Serperia, and if I swap Pangoro into Serperia, and if Kelsey were to counter swap Clodsire, like Pangoro can actually do pretty well, especially against Stone Edge Clodsire, because it's more difficult for them to throw the Stone Edge.
But where is it going to go onto this water type Pokemon? I like this play, going for that heavier hitting attack where there's 2 shields left, taking a page maybe out of Tomahawk's book here as this Brave Bird connects, knocking the Toxapex down to about half health, but in comes that Azumarill. And also Tomahawk has a shield advantage.
He does, yeah. This is definitely uphill for Kelsey. She's going to go for the Earthquake here, but you can also already see the head shakes. She knows this is going to be really tough to come back from. Great shield call as well by Tomahawk. That could have been the Stone Edge bait, but he calls it correctly, looking for the 1 bubble Ice Beam combination, and we can see Kelsey is starting to waver.
Yeah,
and I think at this point Kelsey knows that the writing's on the wall, as Henry would say. And again, how many times, right? How many times have my bulky tank survived?
Oh, and she can't quite get the knockout.
So often.
The Ice Beam energy
So
away
often.
from Tomahawk, though. This is actually important because if Tomahawk cannot switch out,
Hello,
the
Henry.
Azumarill will get incinerated down. I don't want to say that there's
So many
opportunity here, but Kelsey
times
might be able to maneuver.
the
He
bulky
switches out
Pokemon just
to prevent
show
that,
how much
aiming
value
for the
they can
brine.
give.
Here comes Tomahawk.
This is a 50-second timer in this world. Tomahawk is
I
living
breathe
in
a
it.
sigh of
No
relief
protection remaining.
because this
Brine
was
is loaded. Game
sigh of
over
relief
1
because
and
this
3.
was a
Tomahawk with
tough
that
match.
Toxapex, taking out the other team.
What an incredible finish to an incredible series between 2 of the most incredible trainers on the stage here in Baltimore.
Rank 1 Azumarill? No,
Kelsey K,
it is
2-1.
most definitely not.
Decisive game.
It's pretty bulky,
3.
though.
Again,
It's a high rank one, but just not rank.
The gamble, the wild card Pangoro paid off
my
for him.
Pokemon have low
He
H.
had
No.
decisive game number 3.
Okay, the Pokemon that I use as closers. No, the Pokemon that I use as like hard hitting, like my Pangoros, my Annihilates, those kinds of dudes. They have low HP because more often than not, I'm probably shielding them anyway. What I keep defense on them because I don't want to give away silly bulk points. I don't want to take extra Dragon Breath damage for no reason because that murders them, right? If they're taking an extra Dragon Breath every half second, then they're just going to go down anyway. But if I need the attack, if I need CMP, if I need break points or anything like that, then I forego some HP so I can get attack on those. Henry's seen the IVs on my Pangoro, so he can attest to that for sure. Right, that was against Kelsey. I think my next game is then the one against Elite, which I haven't actually gone back and watched yet. Partly because I lost, but we can watch those. I don't actually know when that happens. Trying to scan through as quickly as I can. Oh, they play a lot of the losers rounds first, that's why. Oh wait, do you want to watch this interview? This interview here is... Oh wait, this is actually quite a cute segment. No, we don't need to watch this one, but we will watch Eric's interview. But this cute segment here is like a Mr. and Mrs. with Mason and Johanna. So this is actually it is a very funny interview. But Eric's interview here, Eric is going around the audience, and he just finds these 3 random guys, right? And he doesn't recognize them. He's never seen them before. So he's like, oh, you know, who are you guys? What are you doing here? And it turns out that they're like just locals that came to just watch the tournament. And Eric asks the production team if he can interview them, and this is how it goes.
But here on the floor, we're talking to some people who came here just to watch these Pokemon Go regionals. So, just a quick question: why are you guys here, and how are you liking it?
Well, originally.
So I like how he doesn't even ask their names. He doesn't like introduce them. He just goes straight in.
We came here to play, but we were a little bit intimidated by the players out there. They are tapping their phones so fast, tapping and swiping like crazy, and we were a little bit intimidated. So we just came to watch. It's our first time here. We're all around the area. We're pretty close to here, so we're just very excited to be here.
Dude, that's super awesome. I'm glad. What's your favorite Pokemon?
My favorite Pokemon personally is Gengar, but I also like the big black fish that guy was using up there. Man, that was...
He goes, my favorite Pokemon is Gengar, but I also like the big black fish that they were using up there.
crazy. It seems like I've seen a lot. Yeah, that's the one.
And he just means Clodsire.
I've seen a lot of those. Apparently that's really good right now. I don't know that much, but I'm learning. I think you just caught one, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, like, I felt the aura of the venue here, and I like opened my app up, and there are so many spawns. I was really surprised.
I know.
And you know, speaking of, what was it? The big blackfish, was it Clodsire? I caught the baby version of it actually outside,
Yes.
like right before coming in.
That's super cool. These are all spawns that you can get by coming to one of these regional championships. And
Yeah,
just
that's what you
collecting
sound
the
like,
local
guys.
spawns.
Sorry.
And you, why did you enjoy coming to this regional? How are you enjoying it?
I like how Eric just goes, and you, because he's not asked any of their names.
Wanted to watch the gameplay here, and just watching the people tap furiously and swiping on their screens was very attracting to me.
It was very attracting to me.
I'm really glad to hear that. A lot of people just say it's like tapping and swiping the screen, but there's a lot more nuance to it. There's actually a lot of move counts to look at, a lot of energy counts to memorize.
I like how Eric's now trying to justify skill in this game.
So overall, a very exciting game to watch. And overall, you guys watch these streams a lot, of course, but who do you watch as just a general Twitch streamer?
DGenterprise. DGenterprise is my favorite Twitch streamer.
Oh.
Every time he goes live, I drop everything. If I'm out, I see that live notification, I'm just straight up watching him. It's not even close. My favorite streamer.
That's super cool. I actually watch him as well. He's a friend of my brother's, and he's around New York City area. Super good streamer, of course. And how about you?
My favorite is Mystic7. I always love watching him play.
That's super cool. Yeah, another player also yesterday really liked watching Mystic7. Overall, he's a really popular streamer, of course. And lastly, you.
I like Lyle Jeff. He has a lot of
Yeah, go Lyle. Lyle was actually super happy about
and
that.
CPs is very interesting to watch.
Oh yeah, Lyle just actually competed at this tournament. He made it pretty far into day 1, but was not able to make it to day 2. That's a 2-time regional champion right here. Thanks again. This was, what was your
Eric goes, this was, and then remembers that he never asked them their names.
Get to day 2. That's a 2-time regional champion right here. Thanks again. This was, what was your name?
Eugene.
Phyllis.
And Stewart.
Okay, of all the names that they could have had, Eugene, Phyllis, Stewart. I died. I died. I went very much to hell, and I'm not sure I've returned, to be honest. That interview murdered me.
To make it to day 2. That's a 2-time regional champion right here. Thanks again. This was, what was your name?
Eugene.
Phyllis.
And Stewart.
Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great rest of the stream.
Crying. Very good, Eric. Very good. Oh dear. Right. Let's
every
see
matchup, as
where we
now
are
have
at.
moved into the final
Okay.
8 trainers left in Baltimore.
Goodness
and Magic
gracious.
Mason versus 6'10 Hero. So we started with, really like to mention, especially
Goodness
among those
gracious.
European players, we've seen some unbelievable losers bracket runs before
Right.
these regional championships.
Amazing
As
losers bracket
punishment
runs,
for my
not only in
sins,
Europe, but here
let's
in,
watch me get
America, we've
bodied
had
by Elite.
go on 12 win streaks in Fresno, for example, and it just shows how strong all these players are, how much fuel they have left in them.
Oh, wait,
but for now,
is
it's all the
this-
Hydro Cannons
we've
coming out of this for
started.
Alligator. Seems so strong and impressive against Tomahawk UK's team. I think he needed to. So it's going to be Cresselia leading into the Diggersby. What is Tomahawk UK's plan? This is a negative lead.
Annoyingly, so in my head, my team, I mentioned earlier, right? My team's a little bit weak to, well, I think Shadow Drapion's really good. Okay, if you've got any locals or tournaments coming up, I would consider Shadow Drapion. If I was Drapion, right, I would consider bringing that for the next event that I play. But when it's paired with the Cresselia as well, very annoying for me. So that core was one that I hadn't really had much practice against, and the flexibility for Elite to alternate between Drapion or for Alligator made it quite tough. I did think that he was going to lead Cresselia, and it's not terrible for Diggersby, but I also know that I have a for Alligator weakness in the back, right? Clodsire and Talonflame. So I'm trying to get the Feraligator out of the picture.
He could choose to stick in if he wants to, but no, he's going to switch out.
Are we twins? I'm like 10 years older than Elite.
Into the Clodsire. Clodsire is
I'm more
going
than
to
10 years
bait
older than
out
Elite.
the Feraligator, and Tomahawk attempting to clear the path for Talonflame to try and sweep in the
And part
back.
of me, as soon as I
Feraligator
pressed
winning
Earthquake
charge
here,
attack
felt
priority.
like I
This
wished
Hydro
I'd pressed
Cannon will inflict big
Sludge Bomb.
damage, but Hydro Cannon will not knock out. Clodsire withstands the damage and is going to full send the Earthquake.
Great
But I
shield
don't
by
know
Elite
if it
here,
makes a
getting
difference.
that call correct on
'Cause
the
I think I
Earthquake.
still
This
get
is not
farmed
gonna
down
do any
anyway.
damage, but he will
And I think
allow
Elite
him
plays
to
this very
farm all
smartly
the way down,
because
potentially in the 2-shield scenario, he can go for this Hydro Cannon on the, oh, this sets up a huge farm. This might be
because
really
the
good for
Hydro
Elite. Let's
Cannon
go.
has a lot of
It
play,
is a
obviously,
Sludge
into
Bomb.
the Diggersby.
Sludge Bomb.
If I had
Here to
gone
see
Sludge Bomb,
double
would I have
shield
reached
from
another
Elite,
Sludge Bomb?
And now this Talonflame looking incredibly scary in this endgame. Can Feraligator get the farm
Oh
down here?
my
It
goodness.
does! It does!
So how many did I reach there? 8, 6, 14, 17, 12. Oh, I would have reached 3 Sludge Bombs, so I should have gone triple Sludge Bomb there.
And this energy goes
And
everywhere.
this is game
In
over,
comes
right? He has
Diggersby,
way too
but
much energy.
Tomahawk's remaining Pokemon, they're all weak to water.
The Shadow type, oh no, the Shadow Claws are resisted on the Diggersby, but that is taking out more than 50% of this extremely bulky rabbit. We're gonna throw one more Hydro Cannon. It's
And
half
part
of
of me was
I
like,
think he has
can
to shield
I-
this. He can't
Can I sweep with
just let it
Talonflame?
go.
And then I was like, I
Can
can't
he?
even
No, he
incinerate
can't.
this down,
Here
so I
comes
may
the
as well
Fire
shield
Punch,
this.
most likely, but Hydro Cannon is thrown again. He's gonna have to commit 2
And
protections.
so now that
just to
Feraligator
stay
has
in
got
this
so
game.
much value.
This Feraligator is going
So
on an
maybe if
absolute
I'd gone triple
rampage
Sludge
against
Bomb there, then
Tomahawk's
it would have
team.
changed
Feraligator,
how that
if
matchup
it
went.
shields the Fire Punch, will actually get another Hydro Cannon. So if Elite wants to shield this, oh, actually, I stand corrected. No shields remaining, not going to be able to do so. I forgot that Feraligator double shielded here. The Fire Punch will KO. He's going to trust in a Talonflame sweep.
And I know that because the
Talonflame
Clodsire
answered
has
with the
Stone
Clodsire,
Edge, there's
but
not a
this is
huge amount I
not
can do
the
here. And
Sludge
because I
Bomb
took so much
Clodsire,
energy on the
it's a
Diggersby,
Stone Edge
the Diggersby
Clodsire,
can't even
and Stone
do
Edge
anything
will
about
inflict
it.
devastation on this Talonflame.
Bravebird hits
Yeah,
like
this
a
was
truck, but it's
Henry
not gonna
forgetting
be
how many
just
shields
hard
had been
enough.
used, but
Bravebird coming through onto the Clodsire, but Elite
The
is
games
gonna
are so
reach the
fast, it's
Stone
hard
Edge.
to
Is he
keep
gonna
track.
overfarm? Yes, goes to 100 energy almost and throws off the Stone Edge at 4 poison stings, not even taking the Incinerate damage.
Very perfect timing there by Elite. Stone Edge picks up the knockout. Back in comes Diggersby. Diggersby will be hit with an Earthquake, going for the Fire Punch.
And I press Fire
trying to
Punch,
deny
but
this
as I'm
energy.
pressing
Fire
it, I'm
Punch
like,
not
I
the
also know that the
strongest
Fire
move
Punch
ever,
doesn't even take it
and
out, and
Clodsire
Cresselia
is
is
very
obviously still
bulky.
full health,
Can
so
Clodsire
doesn't
hang
really
on
make a
here? It
difference.
does.
Wow.
It withstands the damage. Earthquake will land, and this is a Game 1 win for Elite.
Cresselia pulling out the big moves here in our game number 1.
And I
putting
think
the
that
shift
this-
for Elite here as
This
the
is maybe a
Clodsire
mistake
finishes
from
off
me,
the
in
Diggersby.
that
What an amazingly clean game
If
played by Elite here.
Elite is
I
going
feel
to
like he
lean
made no
into
mistake.
Cresselia and for
Elite
Alligator,
used those shields so quickly.
I need to
in
maybe be
that
considering
first matchup
Toxapex.
that I honestly forgot both
So,
of them were gone. But he used
if
both
I were
shields.
to play
He
this
gets the
again,
shields back.
I would
The
maybe
Hydro Cannons
consider
go
bringing
everywhere into
Toxapex. It's
Tomahawk's team.
good into
And
Cresselia.
even
I say
though
good, right?
at
It's
the
good into
time being
Cresselia,
down
good
to
into
shields
Machamp,
looked a
good
little
into
rough.
Mandibuzz,
That
good
farm
into
down
for
changed
Alligator.
everything for Elite.
Another
It's
thing
not
is,
great
I wanna
into
mention
Drapion with shields
how
up, but it wins
little
zeros
damage
against
this
it.
did to the
And it's
Clodsire.
pretty bad
The
into
Earthquake
Clodsire,
comes
but
through,
it could be
and the
worse,
Diggersby's
right? It could be
just
worse.
staring at him. The Clodsire stares back. Here comes the Earthquake. Boom onto the Diggersby, and that is game number 1 for Elite. I want to mention something really quick.
Okay.
Elite has not locked in his team yet. Tomahawk locked in his team as
Instantly.
soon as that first game finished. He locked it in.
But I had a strategy for game 2. And I'm just going to go ahead and say that I think I should have won game 2, but I didn't.
He's so prepared for this. He's been thinking about it for quite a long time, clearly, and they are ready for game number 2.
So-
Elite is finally locked in.
I had written 3 teams down that I was, if I lose game 1, then I win game 2 with the team that I'm about to use, and I was going to bring Toxapex game 3, and I was going to win with Toxapex. I had no doubt. The problem was, as you'll see in this game, it doesn't work for a reason that we can talk about.
And we're going to be seeing the lead.
But that's why they said that I locked in so quickly, because I'd already had all 3 of my teams ready.
Diggersby up against the Cresselia. It is a repeat of game number 1. Will Cresselia actually do anything now?
That is an unfortunate lead for Tomahawk. He's ABA weak. He's going to stay in this matchup. Elite brought that for Alligator back, and that for Alligator looks incredibly strong into the backline of Tomahawk. Even though Azumarill is going to be resisting the Hydro Cannons, that's a matchup that Shadow for Alligator can and typically does emerge victorious.
While Azumarill resists those Hydro Cannons, it does not resist those Shadow Claws. And another thing that is
So-
not resisted here, this Scorching Stance, 50 energy. It should be a
This
hard-hitting
time,
move.
I'm
No, it
still
does not look like a
pretty
hard-hitting move.
confident there's
It
a
does
for
not
Alligator
get
and
the debuff.
Clodsire in the back,
This means that these
but I'm
grass
saving
upgrades
Azumarill
threaten
to
put
try
him
and
in the
sweep.
Psycho cut down range. This could be a big problem for Tomahawk. That Cresselia energy just goes everywhere on that back line.
And I
Another
know
no-show
that I
on
can
this
survive
Scorching
2
Sands.
grass knocks.
Tomahawk would love to try and get an attack drop here. Does not get the attack drop. Elite intentionally over-farming in this matchup. The Cresselia does have a pacing advantage here, so it will be able to pick up a knockout with a 3rd Grass Knot. Tomahawk content to just play this out. The Grass Knot will even be reached before a Fire Punch. Waits the turn
Love
there.
that.
Great patience. Watch the quick attack come through. You can't switch in the middle of a fast move, and that way you can guarantee the Grass Knot lands on its intended target of Diggersby.
Ooh, brings in the Clodsire. Is he looking for a big farm down? I like the situation for Elite here. As long as you land 1 Grass Knot, it's in Hydro Cannon range, so you don't have to worry about losing the ones. If you bring in your for Alligator, I wouldn't.
So I wanna get a
maybe
ton
you
of
bring
energy
in
on
for Alligator
Clodsire here.
instantly now, knowing that backline probably doesn't have anything against you for Alligator. I mean, the Diggersby is already out of the way.
Tomahawk throws energy. If Tomahawk left with 100 energy, things
so good.
could have been very complicated, but he didn't want to take the Grass Knot. He throws a Sludge Bomb, and with a lot less residual energy on the table, suddenly it's a lot less bad for the Feraligatr.
But this time I do go for the...
Feraligatr.
Why is Elite looking at the
With a
camera?
Sludge
Oh, he
Bomb,
lost a
tough
Shadow
call to
Claw.
make.
That's quite funny. So Elite actually loses a Shadow Claw here, which is, I think, why he looks at the camera
Here,
like
if
that.
you're Elite will commit the shield on that Sludge Bomb bait.
Here's the difficult part, though. He is at a huge energy deficit here. Another bait of the Sludge Bomb. And at this point, it feels like you can't no-shield this next attack. If your Feraligatr goes down, your Clodsire...
So I throw on
quickly
CMP
lock
because I want to give him the
you
impression
don't
that I
have
want to
Sludge
stay
Bomb.
in with
That
this
has to be
Clodsire,
a
right?
huge consideration here for Elite.
I want to
Does
invite
decide
him
shield. He
to
does.
stay
We
in
are
and
going
commit
see
to
double
taking out the
shield in
Clodsire.
this matchup. Feraligatr still so healthy, will be able to outpace, but Tomahawk still with the shield to hide behind.
And
Gonna go for the
I had a
Hydro Cannon.
feeling that he
We
would
see a
go
catch
on
out
the
of Azumarill.
CMP like he
This
did.
is
So
a
that's when I
potential
come in with the
opportunity.
catch.
Feraligatr wants to stay and farm up a bunch of
And I've
energy.
got, bear in
He'll
mind,
have
I've
the
got that
ability
Sludge
to
Bomb
do
on my
so, or we
Clodsire.
could see
And
the
at this
quick switch
point,
out
I'm
into the
like,
Clodsire.
I'm pretty sure you got a
Feraligatr points
Clodsire
his
in the back. And at this point, I'm like, I think I win this game. And what I'm going to show you is that when I get to the play rough, I try and
Stay in
pause
this matchup.
so that he
Feraligatr
can't catch.
locking in so much and
And I haven't watched this back, but when I was there at the moment, my game looked like it froze. And I panicked that he was just going to get the Shadow Claw and Hydro Cannon me, and I couldn't do anything about it,
energy
right?
going for the Hydro Cannon right before the Ice Beam is reached. Azumarill not even able to make it to a play rough.
I don't know how I feel about this, right? Because how do you bring in your Clodsire now? Do you even throw this? Oh.
So I don't know if you can see that, right? I pause.
Right, because how do you bring in your Clodsire now? Do you even throw this? Oh.
I stop, right? On my screen, there's still a Feraligatr there. So he hasn't switched out. So I'm like, oh, there's still a Feraligatr there. And so, oops. And so I then press play rough, where I think that there's a Feraligatr. Yeah, he waited a turn, but what you can actually see is if you look at the exact same time, on his screen, the Feraligatr disappears, and obviously it doesn't disappear on my screen at the exact same time. Look at when it disappears on his screen versus my screen.
How I feel about this, right? Because how do you bring in your Clodsire now? Do you even throw this? Oh.
Oh, what a catch!
So on my screen, it was still there. And then, whilst I do this, it says go Clodsire, and I just go, I've just lost this game.
We see...
And I shake, because like, yeah. It was still there on my screen. He'd already gone out.
One Shadow Claw.
And then it's game over, right? If the I don't know, I don't know what they can do, but like if the game was a bit more fluid, then my pause, I feel like I should have seen what he was doing. Yeah, no, it's visual. It's just a visual thing, and this is the thing, right? Like it's visual, but there is the risk with these situations that when I pause, he actually does stay in, does do a Shadow Claw, and then I end up CMPing with him. Because that's also happened before, where I've paused, they've still not thrown an attack, and then when I eventually do throw, it turns out that they did do a fast attack, but there was just it visually wasn't there. And what I didn't want was have to take another Hydro Cannon. So I paused, I was like, the Feraligator's still there, and then I was just like, I can't risk that there's a Shadow Claw secretly coming in here that I just can't even see. But if I were throwing an Ice Beam onto this, then I think I would have won the game. And then when that happens, I'm just like, that's it. Which is the game. It is what it is. It was very well played by Elite.
Ice Beam would have been bad onto that Clodsire, and Elite says, I choose option C, making a devastating catch that might seal Tomahawk's fate in this tournament. Quick switch out into the Clodsire, but Elite is not in a range where an Earthquake will knock out.
It's too far gone. Earthquake's gonna land on this Clodsire, but unless it's a 15 attack one with no health or defense, it's gonna hang on, and it does. Here comes the Earthquake from his own Clodsire.
Yeah, Man Dugong, you're right. Like, you want the game, if the game operates perfectly, then you get to, I think you get to play optimally. That's actually a lose con for Elite, by the way. What Elite just does there, that was his only way of losing that game. I'll tell you why in a second. Yeah, but yeah, like it's just difficult when we had a fair bit of lag in Baltimore and a fair bit of there was a fair bit of one turn lag on switch-ins and things as well, but everyone had it, right? It happened to everyone. So okay, so now as we're here, right?
Absolutely clinical from
Elite
start to finish here.
Comes in with his Gator aggressively and then throws an attack with the Feraligatr. Fair bit is an understatement. There was a lot of lag. Now, let's say I had randomly thrown my attack right now. He would have caught my play rough, or whatever my attack is. He would have caught it on his Feraligatr, right? I don't know if play rough might not take it out. I think it does take it out from here. But like, he doesn't. You don't need to do that.
He didn't even use all of his resources.
And there's that combo play. Elite is
yeah, he just doesn't trust that his Feraligatr will come back in and be able to throw, which is fair enough as well. But imagine if I had been like, I give up, I'm throwing a play rough right now, and he just catches it on that Feraligatr.
Stop Elite today, as Tomahawk is an incredible competitor, and Elite just put on a Shadow Feraligatr masterclass in that game.
Seems like Elite has a
Blob,
lot
I think
of
you're right.
fans
I actually remember that game when Weedle and UIC, and every single pause you saw the fast attack come through very cleanly, and it was quite nice. Okay, so that's my first match dropped, right? So I've dropped one game prior to that against Kelsey, then I lost that 0-2, and so I go down into the losers bracket with all the losers, and my first losers round game is against Sceptile Ice,
Against.
who
Celio could
has
be really
one-upped
strong.
my
If you
spicy
recall,
Pangoro
Tomahawk UK was
by
knocked down to
bringing
that
a
loser side
Shadow
bracket
Celio.
by Elite. And I'm just going to
Unfortunately
say it right
for
now,
Shadow
I think
Celio,
Elite is the
it
best
doesn't
Shadow
fare that
Frogger
well
player in the world. He
against
doubled down
Pangoro.
on it.
So,
He tripled down on that Pokemon. And
if
he
we have a look at Sceptile Ice's team here, Superior, Mandibuzz, Dunsparce, Celio, and Feraligatr, all very, very threatened by Pangoro. So
cut
this
through
is
the top
Pangoro
specs,
party time.
cut through that Azumarill and just spam the Hydro Cannons and just
Antarctic wildlife. That's a very good question. So you're asking, if you wait to see your opponent's fast attack come through, but the animation doesn't play, can you dispute it? The answer is no. And the reason that I've been told is because the game has not been designed to not tap. And so, if you choose to not tap and receive visual errors as a result of not tapping, you will not get a rematch. And I think, personally, I think that's pretty sucky, right? Like, the game isn't designed to be not tapped, and yet not tapping can be some of the best skill expression in the game. And so when King told me that, I said to him, I was just like, well, if that's the case, then we need a fast attack button, right? We need a fast attack button so that the game still operates regardless of whether you tap or not, but it only throws a fast attack when you press the fast attack button. Because in my mind, the excuse of the game doesn't work if you don't tap isn't a strong one. It's not a strong argument for me.
just smother Tomahawk in the water type pressure. I think Sceptile Ice was watching that series. He was taking notes. He might try to do something similar.
I think that also Sceptile Ice is one of the few trainers who are left who's using a Mandibuzz in this. Mandibuzz doesn't have a lot of targets against Tomahawk's team, but with the fighting type of the Pangoro also being only able to throw Night Slash unless he wants to debuff himself, it does put him in a kind of precarious position using the Pokemon. We'll have to see
Mandy Fraud. Was it? Did Will call it Mandy Fraud at some point? I think he did.
Clodsire in the lead. Tomahawk UK on the left-hand side.
Okay, so if you don't play Sludge, if you don't play Stone Edge on your Clodsire, Talonflame is very fine into Clodsire here.
Azumarill and Toxapex double water strategy for Tomahawk UK on the right side.
So I'm going to take a Sludge Bomb, and now I'm just going to start.
Oh,
I watched Sceptile Ice play a previous game against a Talonflame user, and I watched him no shield a fly, and so I thought, fine, just Brave Bird.
Has been paying attention because Tomahawk UK is not afraid to go for that heavier hitting attack first.
And I'm very happy to just nuke.
So low into the red, and even though the
because I'm gonna have to shield a second Sludge Bomb in it.
And this was Tomahawk's whole plan the whole time. He says, "Hey, listen, you're gonna have to shield if you're the Talonflame, no matter what."
Yep.
You might
Amanda's
as well do
right.
as much damage as possible. That's exactly what he did. He Brave Bird and he incinerated down, and he's got energy to spare.
That's absolutely devastating now because if you look at Sceptile Ice, he's going to be forced to give up a Protect Shield no matter what he brings in, and he also gave away Switch advantage to Tomahawk.
So I make a slight mistake there. So I wanted to see what he comes in with, because I'm worried about a Feraligatr, and I don't want to get sniped. So I wait, and because I wait, my optimal move timing is now wrong, because I lose a turn by waiting. He then does 2 snarls, which is 6, right? 6 turns. I do an incinerate plus the turn I waited, which is also 6, and then I throw, which means he gets another free snarl in.
Can be very tough. We're gonna see a charge
So he gets a free snarl in there, but that's my fault. That's because I waited.
Again, Amanda, this is gonna sting.
This is a Brave Bird. This cool connect. Mandibuzz, one of the bulkiest Pokemon already in the
Eugene didn't randomly show up to see me not tap. Yeah, that's a good point. Eugene was so impressed by the tapping and swiping that he probably left as soon as he saw all of these pauses.
Not only that, a fly to serve at the end. Talonflame has
Thankfully,
done so
Talonflame
much
survives
wrong,
to
and
get
this
to the
game is
fly.
Just beginning.
Just YOLO 2 Brave Birds and
I'm a
got the
shield
fly
down, but
party present
I'm now
to that
dominant, right?
Mandibuzz.
Because I've
We'll
got an
see a
Azumarill and a
Now
Mandibuzz,
it's Shadow
and
for
Toxapex
Alligator
can punch
time,
through.
and
So
the
I'm not
Toxapex
even
comes out
gonna
to meet it. Sceptile
go
Ice
through this, right?
tried to use
Toxapex
the
is
same
so fine versus Feraligatr.
to
And I think
back up.
Sceptile Ice ends up giving up as well in the end game. He just stops tapping. And then here, I actually forget that there's a... Team, I want to know, right? Have you ever played a GBL game and you've just forgotten that your opponent has a low health Pokemon in the back. Because not only have I done that a lot in GBL, I actually did that here. And it's only because I had my headphones in and I heard something come back that I remembered. If you watch, I completely forget that there's a Feraligatr left.
We saw a tough matchup earlier on in the stream.
But I hear the Shadow Claw come through my headphones and I was like, well, I better tap quick. I put my phone down and I start writing.
Has been really useful for him. We saw a tough matchup earlier on in the stream versus Elite, but at this point, I think he's finding his
Imagine how
footing
bad
again
that
in
could have
the
been,
loser
huh?
side bracket. He's got
I actually thought about that. I remember thinking about it afterwards. I was like, let's say I couldn't hear and I just start writing. I can't hear the crowd because I've got these noise cancelling headphones on. And what if he just played and started shadow clawing through and I was just writing and I was just writing? Like, the judge can't say anything, right? The judge isn't going to be like, hey, Free, start tapping. Could you imagine that? What happens in that situation? It'd be my own fault. That's all I can say. It'd be my own fault.
A little bit later, he was not as confident in his games as he was in game number 1. Let's go ahead and just quickly look back.
So in that game, I played Talonflame, Azumarill, Toxapex because I knew that he was going to use Clodsire because Clodsire is his only answer to Pangoro, right? So because he doesn't have Stone Edge on the Clodsire, that's how I knew Talonflame would be fine against it, and then I put the Azumarill and the Toxapex to counter the Feraligatr. So he played around the Clodsire and Shadow Feraligatr.
Otherwise, I just need to find ways to play around
Azumarill's pretty good there, right? Because it's Sludge Bomb, I've got to use something else, right? Because Sludge Bomb Clodsire is good against Azumarill, so Sludge Bomb Clodsire is better versus Azumarill, but worse versus Talonflame, and then Stone Edge is the other way around. So that was partly how I was building the team as well, right? Was that if I'm against the Sludge Bomb, then lean into Talonflame. If I'm against the Stone Edge, then lean into Azumarill.
Because he understands the implications of if it goes bad, I still have to have another plan in mind. We're hopping into game number 2.
Okay, now this here is why Diggersby is so good. Because Sceptile Ice probably thinks that Shadow Feraligatr is good into Diggersby. Do you remember what I told you about an hour ago? Or however long it was, right? Diggersby, even behind one quick attack, with shields up, beats Feraligatr straight Scorching Sands. So he has built a team that in his mind, maybe, right, I don't know, but maybe he thinks, I am ABB strong into Diggersby. Right? He thinks Feraligatr in the lead, and then Dunsparce will bait out the Diggersby, and Clodsire will then be free in the back. What he doesn't realise is that Diggersby is so fine here. It is so fine.
This is a Diggersby versus a Shadow Feraligatr, folks.
Yeah, exactly. Shadow Feraligatr will hit incredibly hard, but it still needs to.
Not only is it so
to get
fine,
the job done against the Diggersby. Waits a turn, allows
this Feraligatr gets punished.
To land this super effective charge attack.
We already know that Diggersby has a lot of defense and HP, but look how much damage that does from a Shadow Feraligatr. Just charging up a ton of energy here, but now throwing the Scorching Sands, hoping for potential debuff.
So he doesn't shield. He's in his head he's going to play the zeros, but I'm not going to play the zeros because I know how much damage my quick attacks do.
We've seen 3 charge attacks in this game, and 3 times our trainers have waited.
And now look at this.
To avoid a catch. The discipline here on stage is incredible.
And he knows he's in trouble because look at this. I'm in the red health, right? But I have a ton of energy. And neither of his Pokemon in the back can farm me down. And they're not even quick to an attack. Neither of them are even quick to get to their charged attack. And he knows. He's shaking his head at this point. He knows.
Look how much energy he has here.
But also, it's not as easy. It's not as easy as just throw my attacks. Because when he comes in with a Dunsparce, right? As soon as he comes in with a Dunsparce, I go, you have a Clodsire in the back. Because that is the only Pokemon on your team that you would choose to come in with. If you had anything else, right? If you you look at the rest of his team, right? If he had Superior, you'd come in with Superior. If you had Mandibuzz, you'd come in with Mandibuzz. If you had Celio, you'd come in with Celio. The only Pokemon he could have in the back is Clodsire. And what team did I have? I have a Toxapex and a Pangoro. And neither of them really want to be against a Clodsire. So I land this Scorching Sands and I get out of there. And I go, if I go into Toxapex now, Toxapex is kind of fine versus Dunsparce, right? It takes super effective, but I'm so bulky. If I go into Toxapex now, I can near 100% guarantee you will either throw an attack or you will go straight into a Clodsire. If you go into a Clodsire, I still have one shield. I still have some energy on that Diggersby. That Diggersby can put in work against the Clodsire. Right? And I don't mind. Yeah, if he wants to stay in, he can. If he wants to stay in, he can. It doesn't make a difference. As long as I have a Diggersby ready for his Clodsire, that's fine. Pangoro is so quick to pacing as well. Like, I know I'm going to get some damage off with Pangoro, and he can't one-shot. He's not going to one-shot the Pangoro realistically. So I know that I'm now fine. And then I'm nodding my head when he comes in with the Clodsire, because in my head I was like, that's the validation, right? That's when you're like, I did that for a very specific reason, and it's proven true. So I know this is game now, because I also know that I've obviously still got a Pangoro in the back for the Dunsparce.
As Brian will connect with that Clodsire, the Dunsparce does have a little bit of energy on it already, but we'll have to see. This Earthquake is that heavier hitting attack. Toxapex doesn't have a lot to do with the Clodsire, but this will connect. Super effective damage into the yellow here. Brian almost loaded. Looks like he will try to go one extra, and now release it here. No shield from Sceptile Ice's side.
This is just so clever by Tomahawk. I mean, bringing the Pangoro when just nobody expects it. I know I'm fixated on that, and I'm not talking about the matchup on the screen right now, but we know the Clodsire is going to get to the Earthquake. I'm just really dumbfounded at the ability here to pick the right Pokemon at the right moment. Earthquake picks up the knockout as expected, and now Diggersby returns.
And I have energy, and I win CMP against Clodsire, so...
The one that will be able to knock out, getting that shield from Sceptile Ice.
Now he's in the red. Now we're looking at Night Slash territory for this Pangoro, right? So I don't need to shield my Diggersby anymore.
But now this means we have a Dunsparce versus a Pangoro in the back here. A Sludge Bomb.
He actually goes for a Sludge Bomb bait. And it's funny because I no shield this, but as I'm no shielding it, I'm like, you're sludge bombing me, aren't you? I was like, I'm so sure you're sludge bombing me, but I'm not staying in anyway because I've committed to going into. I've committed to taking the energy onto Diggersby, clearing their energy, and going into Pangoro with a shield.
Ball meant to turn the tables. We saw this earlier on, like a leaf tornado sort of scenario. Sludge Bomb not able to knock out. Both trainers coming in, super effective karate chop damage onto the Dunsparce.
Absolutely. Pangoro looks like he's making twigs out of a tree here with these karate.
Now, I saw a comment from someone saying that Sceptile Ice arguably gave up too early here because there are still win conditions, because the Dunsparce had energy. It doesn't. There are no win conditions here. I can take a drill run very easily. I'm outpacing so quickly. This is game over.
Chops.
Chop it.
A close
I don't need to be close combating here, right? I can just be Night Slashing. People don't realize how much Night Slash does.
I mean, seeing the Pangoro on the back, knowing that you have a normal type Dunsparce on the field, there's really just no other way to go about it.
Of course it's going to win this charge attack priority. Pangoro is a very high attack stat. The Dunsparce goes down, and then comes the Clodsire, but at this point, a little bit too little too late, even though these aren't very effective. A third close combat should seal the deal for Tomahawk. Continue on to the losers, round number 5.
Incredible plays here by Tomahawk UK. Honestly, just picking the right Pokemon at the right moment has been one of his...
So, yeah, Sceptile Ice he's a very good player. He saw that I led Talonflame in game 1. He brought both a Feraligatr and a Dunsparce to try and find that Talonflame, I'm guessing. Played in what he felt was an ABB. It makes sense, right, for Feraligatr to beat Diggersby and then those two in the back. But now you know, right? Now you know Diggersby is not... When it's got 2 shields, right? It's got 2 shields especially, then it's not worried about Feraligatr. What Elite did that was very, very good is he didn't lead Feraligatr. He counter-swapped Feraligatr into my Clodsire. He came out with so much energy that he then had a huge energy advantage over my Diggersby. And at that point, Diggersby's no longer a Feraligatr answer. But from even energy and on even shields, then Diggersby's very good into for Alligator.
His strongest skills in Baltimore this weekend. He does it yet again to keep his tournament streak alive against Sceptile Ice.
Sceptile Ice played fantastic through this whole tournament, bringing a very niche pick, that Shadow Celio that did so well against a lot of teams, a lot of different
They'll need to play against either.
Okay, so this is now the third,
Speaking of
fourth
elite
playoff
Wadaj,
against
this is a run
Ilum.
that they've been on.
Ilum is a
Wadaj,
very,
two
very,
overs
very
Arrow,
good
two
player.
overs
I
Elam,
believe he came.
elite, 2-1
Did he
versus
come
6-10
second
Hero,
in
and then a
Baltimore
2 overs Tomahawk.
last year?
This collision course
Is that
from
right?
opposite sides of the bracket has felt a little inevitable.
He did very
with
well
how
in LAIC
incredible
as well,
they
I
have
think.
played all
And
weekend.
NAIC, sorry.
And this series,
And I can't remember
the
where he came
winner
in
of
Worlds, but
Tomahawk and Elam
Ilum's
will
a very good
play
player.
the loser of Elite and Wadaj. We
I
truly
felt like
are
I
in
felt like
the
I should have won
endgame
this.
of this Baltimore
And,
regional championships now. 182
You know, you're
players
never
arrived,
happy when you
only
lose, right? You're
4
never happy when you
remain,
lose.
And 2 of the
And you'll
4
always
on
think
stage
about,
now, Tomahawk
or at least
UK
I'm always
and
thinking about
Elam.
what I could have done differently. But I
exit.
really did feel like I was going to
Tomahawk
win
UK
this. And I don't have a hard Gastrodon answer, so I know that Gastrodon's probably coming, but I thought I'd be able to be fine
has
against
brought
it.
that signature Pangoro paired with the Diggersby core, Diggersby Toxapex core the entire weekend. Elam with that Galarian Moltres. I feel like both players here are very comfortable with their teams at this point. Have gone through an absolute
Alejandro,
gauntlet to
welcome
get
in,
here,
dude. How you
but
doing?
there are some things to notice. Tomahawk UK, his team is not that good. against
Meticulous,
Gastrodon.
yes.
Yeah, taking a look. He does only have one.
Look, I don't
resistance
mold,
to
right? And
Blood
I'm not
Slap
an
on
angry
that, of course,
person or
being the
anything,
Talon
but
Flame. However, Pokemon like Diggersby can
I
outdog
wasn't
the
happy after
Gastrodon,
that lag.
and that
That's for
signature
sure.
Pangoro can actually outpace
I'm
it.
usually
Do
very
the
chill,
karate
right? It's
chop.
not
I mean,
anyone's
we've
fault.
seen it on Machamp.
It's
That
not
move
it's
has
not the judge's
incredible
fault or anything, but
generation.
Yeah, Machamp
My
is basically
goodness,
like
when
the
this
whole
happened
Quagsire
here.
pacing, where it can do a Stone Edge and then do a cross drop for 3.
this was frustrating.
karate
And the
chops.
reason
That
it was
is
so frustrating
crazy.
is
Getting
because,
to a charge attack in
especially
6
when you're
turns,
against a team
absolutely ridiculous.
like Ilum's,
But
right? So
Pangoro-
Ilum has a Crest for Alligator, which I'd already struggled against Elite. Not only that, he also has the Gastrodon that I know my team is weak to. And so in order to beat a team like this, I have to catch him off, right? I have to do something. I have to play a line, or I have to play it in a certain way that catches him off. And then when you lag out, and when you can't play properly, that whole surprise factor from that tactic's gone. That's gone. That's what was so frustrating, that at this stage of the game, Game 1, and what was also annoying, right, was reading the chat afterwards, because Game 1 he wins because of the lag. And in chat they're like, well, Ilum's actually won 3 games against it. And I'm like, you joking? Like, that Game 1 was mine. That was so mine. I should have won that game. And that's partly why I'm like, I could have won this 2-1.
Oh my goodness!
But because of the lag,
yeah,
I get slaughtered in the end because of the lag.
Interesting. So it'll depend on how Tomahawk, like what specific stats did he end up bringing on this Pangoro? If there's a little
Official
bit of
chat
attack,
does not
then
have good
maybe
takes.
getting
That's
some
true.
extra
Henry,
karate
that
chop
is
damage
true.
could make the difference in that Cresselia matchup. But as long as shields are up, yeah, I didn't really consider that. The sucker punches from Moltres are going to do just about nothing.
Yeah.
They already are doing a lot, though, even when they're neutral against Alolan Sandslash, so I wouldn't even be surprised if they were doing a lot. It's going to be Cresselia leading into a dig.
Sorry, what did Eric just say there? Did Eric just say that Sucker Punch would do a lot of damage to my Pangoro? Because if he did, Eric, you are a fool.
Why does Tomahawk keep leading his Diggersby into Cresselia?
He's running a line that is triple weak to the Cresselia, so I think we're going to see him.
Yeah, I thought, hey, if I see a Cresselia in the lead, just kind of get it out of the way, and then Pangora's going to sweep. In my head, that was the strat.
Good answers for that Galar Moltres, and Elam has brought it. So even though this is a lead win, he is triple weak to that Cresselia. Things could get very uncomfortable because Cresselia, while it's amazing, cannot 1v3.
You know what I'd like here? A swap into the Feraligatr, honestly.
Because look how good the Azumarill looks in the back otherwise. Oh, I actually do get a debuff there. It doesn't. I don't think it makes a huge amount of difference. But now that I've got the debuff,
this is still super effective.
I think in my head here, right? I think in my head, you're Cresselia lead and you're weak to Azumarill in the back. Okay? And so I feel like now that you're debuffed, if I come in with Azumarill, you're in a weird situation because your 2 Pokemon in the back, you intended to not be against an Azumarill. So that's why I come in here, but also because Diggersby, once Cresselia's out of the way, Diggersby also can potentially have play, especially if he had a Clodsire in the back, because there was also a reasonable chance that he played into Crest plus Clod Core.
He's going to be able to absorb this Grass Knot, pretty comfortably since it is going to be debuffed. Cresselia looking to stay in this matchup, not choosing to reveal the Feraligatr just yet.
I think this is a good recognition, right? Even if you're debuffed by that Diggersby, Elam understands that 3 grass slots are needed no matter what your debuff stage is at. Number 1, 2,
he might need 4. He might need 4 here.
This is crazy work.
Shame I didn't stay in. Yeah, but I don't actually want to stay in. What I want to do is try and get shields somewhere so that Pangoro can go off, right?
There's the switch.
That's the strat that I'm going here.
Switch clock will be up very soon. His switch clock will be up after this next charge attack is reached. Very nice overfarm here by Elam.
So the Feraligatr uses most of its energy here, and now I'm like, I can go into the Pangoro.
Hydro Cannon into that Azumarill does pick up the KO. Azumarill had a charge attack but could not hold.
Did you see that? Don't know if you saw that. I lose a Karate Chop there, right? That's a quarter of my Night Slash gone. Okay, that's how impactful that is. That is 25% of my move gone for no reason.
Hold on. In comes the Panda.
So I've lost 1 Karate Chop already here.
Immediately met with a Shadow Hydro Cannon, and this will do a lot of damage. So we will see an immediate Protect Shield from Tomahawk.
You've got to shield that up, but can you start getting these Night Slashers off? Number 1 is going to be...
And I lag again there. So I get a pause there, and then look what happens here.
Coming right now on the charge attack priority, but it looks like...
I lose charge attack priority. So I don't get my Night Slash. And that is massive. Not only do I not get my Night Slash, I also don't get the Karate Chop that I would have got if I'd missed the CMP, right? So I missed the Karate Chop on entry, and let's say that I just didn't throw the attack, I missed the Karate Chop of my normal sneak. I delayed, I pressed my attack, it just doesn't register at the correct time, but it still registers somehow, and so it becomes a fake CMP time.
Preserve this Pangoro. Elam, yep, goes to the Hydro Cannon, and you just put it on the Moltres now?
And the big thing here, right, and this is what I don't think the judge quite appreciated at the time, which is why we spoke about it for so long, is I needed his shield. And I needed his shield before I gave away my shield. Because the way that Pangoro plays is energy management and shield parity. Okay? So I throw my Night Slash takes him out from here. Right? So if I throw the Night Slash first, I either get a shield or the Gator is gone. Because he wins CMP, he gets a shield. Wiggly, thank you very much for the raid, dude. Hope you had a good stream. Because of the lag, because he gets CMP, I have to give a shield first.
Wait,
which means I don't get the shield back.
This is tough.
And so I'm like, I can't. There's no way. I'm down 2 shields with a Pangoro.
It did look like
you know,
he's gonna go for an
what do you do at this point? Being down 1 shield with energy advantage, fine. Being down 2 shields. There's just no way.
Cresselia going to get met with the Night Slash. 2 Protect Shields remaining. Going to use a Protect Shield here.
I like this.
If Tomahawk wants to preserve it.
So now, let's carry on with this game, assuming that I kept my shield, right? Assume that I had won CMP and that he had no shielded, right? So I still have 1 shield. Technically, I should also have an extra Karate Chop.
Can switch...
Yeah, Wit Dog, that did happen. To be fair to,
if he so desires, going
that did
to
happen.
Pick up a potential knockout with the Night Slash. Elam double shielding. Switch clock is available for Tomahawk. He can bring in the Diggersby whenever he'd like. Choosing to switch out at the last possible
So I'm
second,
forced to catch
catching
here.
the Moonblast. A beautiful play by Tomahawk.
This is so difficult for Elam now. Where do you go from here? You're gonna get quick attack all the way down, but if you could wait.
Galar Moltres energy.
And now, Galarian Moltres just farms me down.
Energy.
This Fire Punch goes nowhere, right?
Yeah, bringing in the Moltres. Moltres in the 0 shield. And Brave Bird, the Pangoro, so strong into the Moltres, but when shields are down, this Galar, oh, that does nothing. Oh no, gonna try and double up, not quite at double up. And this Brave Bird is rapidly approaching, and there's not much Diggersby can do except get fully farmed down.
Oh.
And now 1 more Sucker Punch, and it's Brave Bird.
And now look, all right? If you take away the extra energy I got on the Feraligatr because I did a little bit of farm on it from the undercharge, if you add the Karate Chop that I should have got that I lost, All I have to do is shield and attack here, and I guarantee outpacing to the next one.
Third time. In comes the
And so this
Braver.
game
That's gonna pick up
should have been a win.
one-hit KO.
And this was a
onto the
game that I led
Pangoro,
Diggersby
and
into a
that's gonna be
Cresselia.
a game 1 win for Elo.
And that's frustrating,
Wow,
right?
KO, I
When you
think
can
that would've
flip a
taken
game where you
4 to
lose
8
lead like that
Pangoros, somewhere
to
in that
lag.
range, probably dependent on the HP stat, of course.
Your
But
opponent
Elo
knows the strat, right? Your opponent
continuing
knows
his
what they need to
amazing
defend. Your
run
opponent knows what
after
you're going to try and
losing that
do.
first
Like,
game against Mason.
it's just,
He's
it becomes
won
very,
3
very
in a row
difficult from there.
against some of the best players in the world here, literally.
Gator
because
had like
this
no energy.
guy
Had like no
is from the
energy.
UK. Oh, looks like we're gonna get a match under review. Tomahawk is asking if he lost a karate chop.
And also the
after winning
Gator
match.
would have had the
So
Gator only
they're
no
just
shielded
taking a look at it.
because
Not necessary. There's a
yeah,
dispute, but we
Gator
just
would
wanna
no
make
shielded
sure
because
for
of the
competitive integrity for everyone,
because it won CMP.
just everyone's
So
fairness
this is
that
now
it's
me
just reviewed
explaining
There
how
was
sick
one
Pangoro
instance
is if you
Yeah.
give it
For
a
alligator.
shield.
The Pangoro for alligator charge attack priority tie. Pangoro is a species
I explained the
with
karate
much
chop
higher
lost, the CMP
attack stat
tie,
than a
and
for
all the
alligator,
karate
to the
chop
point
not sneaking
where
through.
I do not believe
And
that
then
even
basically
a
we just wait for we wait for ages while the judges kind of look at it and try and look at decisions and things. Then we go into a replay instead, but it's a replay, but it really does go for ages. Oh yeah, Henry, this is where they announced that it would be a rematch, and then they asked Ilum if he wanted to appeal, and then he had a thought. He had some time to think about if he wanted to appeal, but Henry had already said on cast that it was a rematch. And Henry was like, "Could you not have waited to tell me it was a rematch until Ilum had made his decision on if he wanted to appeal or not? Because if Ilum appeals, then it takes ages again anyway, and I guess that's then not fair on. That's not fair on the caster, right? Who's been told it's a rematch.
Had a good amount of time
Yeah,
to really
yeah,
think
exactly.
these lines through. Tomahawk UK
Pain, how
may
you doing?
opt for that Talonflame to call
Yeah,
out that
yeah. The
Cresselia,
lag's
basically
frustrating, and it
just
happens
shut
so
it down
many times.
completely.
So many
But
times.
if
Do you know who I
that's the
feel
case,
most
you
bad
also have to
for?
be
I feel
scared
bad
of
for
the Dunsparce.
Arrow
You have to be scared
because
of
Arrow
the
had a very
Rally.
similar
There's a
situation
lot of stuff to worry
where
about if
he
you're
had
Tomahawk UK.
lag
But at the end of the
that a
day,
game that he
Pangoro stands
definitely should
tall and
have won
strong.
got rematched, and then he ended up losing that round, and then he ended up getting knocked out way earlier than he maybe should have. But similarly here, like for me, even now for me, I'm like, look, that game one should have been a win for me.
You still only need 2 wins
but
to
what can
advance
you do?
to the
What can you
losers
do?
finals. Getting that first win will put you in a pretty terrific position here. A sigh of relief from Tomahawk. He locks in the team, and we're ready to go. Losers semifinals, Tomahawk versus Elam. We have lock-ins. Talonflame for the Tomahawk. Oh no, it's the Gastrodon from
Okay. This I don't want to blame the game for every time it goes wrong, right? I don't want you guys to think that the only reason I lose is because of the game. In my head, I was expecting a Gastrodon lead. So I pause with my Talonflame because I want him to bring in for Alligator, and I want to insta-switch Diggersby. So I pause to start with to see if he comes in with for Alligator. And I don't know, maybe I just don't pause properly, maybe I don't pause well enough, but on my screen, nothing happens. Or at least that's what I remember thinking, right? On my screen, nothing happens. So then I was like, I don't know what to do. So I tap the screen. And obviously an Incinerate starts and there's a for Alligator there. Now, I've said to you that Diggersby 1 quick attack behind is fine versus for Alligator. Diggersby 3 fast attacks behind, that's not fine against for Alligator.
And this is the 1 Mudslap resistance on the team.
So did you see that I pause, right? Can you see that?
It's the Gastrodon from Elam, and this is the
So you should be able to see fingers tapping, right?
1 Mudslap resistance on the
So can you see on his screen, there is a tap onto the for Alligator, and on my screen, there is no tap because I'm waiting. But there was a slight pause,
team.
and then the for Alligator comes in, but there's nothing there on my screen, right? There's nothing there. So on my screen, I'm like not really seeing anything, and then the Gastrodon kind of disappears, and so I tap the screen. Well, actually, I'm trying to tap the Diggersby as well, but I also tap the screen. So I'm tapping the Diggersby. Yeah, it does that weird thing where it never changes the name Gastrodon, right? It only changes the typing first, which is like it's just like it's just littered with stuff that I'm like, this is so annoying. So I'm trying to tap the Diggersby to insta counter swap the for Alligator, but I've also accidentally or mistakenly tapped the actual screen.
Here comes a
And so the
Pharrell.
Incinerate comes through. And so then I stop tapping on the Diggersby because I'm like, well, I'm stuck now, right? I'm stuck. I cannot go into Diggersby now.
But I love
So I
this
stop.
because
But it's too late. I've already tapped on it. And I'm like, just as I stop tapping, the Diggersby then comes in. And I don't know if I make a facial expression here, but at this point, I'm like, the game's gone. I will not win this game now.
as you see, the Incinerate came through, so he's always going to start with an advantage.
Yes, this for Alligator now.
Okay, I don't think I react because I don't want to give away anything, but in my head, I'm like, this is so bad. And I guess what I should do here is now I have to start baiting fire punches because that's probably my only win con. Because he has watched my game against Sceptile and he has seen what a Diggersby does to a Feraligator.
It has that immunity, that double resistance to the Shadow Claws, which means Feraligator, despite landing significant
And so
damage
maybe if I
with a
press
Hydro
Fire
Cannon,
Punch, maybe
is
I
never
would have
really
won.
any
As soon as he
advantage
shields
to try and
this,
farm
I'm
out.
kind of like,
Let's see here,
I
no
can't win
debuff,
this.
but it's
My
not
best
really
bet
gonna matter.
might just be
Shadow
trying
Claw
to do a
down, it's never
Pangoro
gonna
sweep
happen.
because he
Hydro
might
Cannon
have
is gonna
nothing
be
strong
reached.
versus
Tomahawk
Pangoro.
UK is gonna have to expend
Yeah,
both
he
skills here.
insta-shielded. Yeah,
He wants to
exactly.
hang on to
He
this Diggersby.
insta-shielded.
Does he
He's seen the
opposite?
game
Oh
against
my gosh,
Sceptile Ice.
I think I know what's coming up.
I know as soon as he shields, I'm going to get outpaced constantly by the Feraligator. It already had such a huge advantage. So I'm just like... And also, okay, so bear in mind, right? If he continues to outpace and takes my shields first, I've then got a Talonflame and a Pangoro that's going to get hit by a Hydro Cannon. So that's why I just don't shield. This game is so done. There's nothing I can do.
Letting this go, saving the shields. Could, honestly, at this point, I think you kind of have to bring in the Pangoro.
Meticulous, I don't know. I
If you
don't
bring
know.
in the
Honestly, I
Talonflame,
don't know.
Talonflame could get one shot.
It was
comes
really,
Pangoro,
the
firing
game was
off
not
the
good
Hydro
that
Cannon
weekend.
Before Pangoro is able to make a Night Slash.
Is it Clodsire on Stonehenge or is it on Sludge Bomb? This is crucial for this matchup. He's going to go right
And he
into
plays
this.
very
Oh,
well
no,
here. He
has
comes
to
in
be
with this
Aggressive
Clodsire.
pivot out. What a beautiful
I can't
play
come
by
in
you.
with
He
Talonflame
preserves
because it's
an
got
ability
Stonehenge.
to make
He's
a
got a
Hydro Cannon
Feraligator
later
in the
game,
back.
and
So
Clodsire,
Talonflame.
I mean,
I'm so
Pangoro
cooked in this game.
desperately needs
There's
the
just
Night
no
Slash
way.
boost. Night Slash will
But I just
connect.
wish. So the reason I'm not blaming the game, right, is I could have waited even longer. But it's just frustrating that the way that the game is, it's like the switches don't show you properly. By the time the Pokemon is on the screen, they've probably already got a fast attack and a half through. It takes so long for the Pokemon to show up on the screen. Like, the typing changes, the name doesn't change, Pokemon disappears, and then it eventually comes up and the name comes up, but sometimes it's too late by then. And when you're in a game like at this level, at this speed, you kind of need it to be you need it to be perfect if you want perfect plays, right? You need it to play pretty perfectly, and it doesn't.
No boost
So
to be found. Another Night Slash thrown, but this is the
yeah, when you've got an
risk he brings
Incinerate,
the
then
fighters
yeah,
with
you're
Champ
stuck.
and
So
Pangoro. They both
is what it
struggle
is.
quite a bit against the Clodsire. Clodsire taking those moves like it's nothing. You just have to watch for
Oh my
a catch. Going for a bait here. Tomahawk.
I think he's going to let it go because
Reviewing
he's
his
putting us on
options.
Talonflame.
Shields
Oh!
at the last second, shielding a resisted bait.
So the reason why I'm not fully blaming the game here is because of what you've just said, Mountain Dugong, is that actually to go into Diggersby is probably still a mistake. And I should be going into Pangoro. So that's why I'm not blaming the game fully for this one. And I accept that I lost this game because my win condition, actually, my best chance of a win was to not throw an Incinerate, but to come in with Pangoro. Pangoro, one fast attack behind, can also beat a Feraligator. And then I have Diggersby closing. Diggersby wins zeros against Gastrodon, and it wins down a shield versus Clodsire. So I do accept that I
Going
lost
for
this game.
another Night Slash,
I'm
and they
frustrated.
still will
Yes, you can go straight Night Slash. You can go straight Night Slash. You reclaim the turn by throwing the Night Slash before the Hydro Cannon, and if they no shield it, you can two shield Karate Chop down. So for all of this is why when I say, oh, people are shielding the Night Slash bait, you guys are maybe very used to Annihilape's Night Slash being a bait. Pangoro's Night Slash is not a bait in the same way. It hits hard. It does hit really hard.
not be able to deliver a knockout onto that Clodsire.
So how do you kind of address that Talonflame here if he swaps it in? Oh no, he can't swap it in. You can't bring your Gastron in because then he'll swap the Talonflame. So you throw the Stone Edge. I don't know if this is enough.
I can't imagine it is. Stone Edge, not going to KO, but it will get it very low. We're going to see the switch out into the Talonflame, and that is that pacing on that Feraligatr, preserving 3 Shadow Claws of energy from earlier, going to be able to pick up a one-hit knockout momentarily onto the Talonflame. Down it goes. Shadow Feraligatr, so strong. Pangoro looking for a farm down, gets the farm down, but now I think, okay, yeah.
Wow.
There's a shield to hide behind. There's a full health Gastrodon.
So,
there's just no play anymore.
it's a loss. That's fine. In my head, it should be 1-1, right? But it's not. So I'm 1-0 down.
The shift there for Elam.
I have to win the next 2 games.
Doesn't play it again this series.
I have to win the next 2 games if I want to stay in. If I want to get to, if I want to get a podium finish.
And then just let that meta core of Feraligatr and Clodsire, and the decision that you identified right at the start. The Tomahawk was locked
and ultimately,
into
it's all good and well, right? It's all good and well complaining about lag losing your game, but right now, at this point in the match, doesn't matter. You just have to focus on the next game.
One-hit KO with a Hydro Cannon, and from there was just not.
So that's like, in my mind, that's like the mentality aspect of the game, is that you just have to try and clear your head as quickly as possible.
It was a really
you
nice
have to,
adjustment
because if you don't, you lose 0-2 hit. You have to try and just clear your head and get on with it. And if you want to get annoyed about it, do that after the tournament. Don't do it now.
Because if you're behind 3, they're always going to get to the 2 first. And then they're always going to
as you being a
strike
popular
first,
lead
and
in
you're gonna have to
Ferrobit,
give
I'm not
both
sure
shields, which is
Meticulous.
kind of what we saw there.
Feraligatr on even shields and even energy, Shadow Feraligatr beats Azumarill, so I tend to only come into...
Now, since the Feraligatr was such a problem, does
Oh, that bit. Okay, so this is a shout out to Arceus Aurelius. So when I was building this team originally, I had Shadow Feraligatr in place of Azumarill. And he said to me when I was talking to him and discussing, because a lot of the time I don't even scrim with my team because I play, I'm a bit of a nerd, right? So I play with a lot of theory. So I would play out a matchup based on like how a sim should work, which is how I know that, like, you know, I need to be this many turns behind, otherwise this works. So I don't always scrim. I just discuss matchups. And I was discussing with him about the team, and he said, "Have you considered Azumarill?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know if I've got space for the Azumarill." And he was like, "Well, have you actually ever considered dropping Shadow Feraligatr?" And I hadn't, because the way that I built the team was a Diggersby and Toxapex core, plus a Clodsire and Shadow Feraligatr core, plus a Pangoro and a Talonflame. And I was like, that's crazy. Why would you swap Shadow Feraligatr? Like, Shadow Feraligatr is so flexible, like, it's so good. And he said, yes, but have you not noticed that if Shadow Feraligatr wants to win almost any matchup, it has to shield? And I thought about that. And I thought, okay, well, what about Clodsire? And it's like, well, actually, good point. One Hydro Cannon doesn't take it out. If you get hit by an attack, you can get farmed down. So Feraligatr often shields against Clodsire. It needs to shield against Diggersby, otherwise the same thing happens. It often needs to shield against an Azumarill, because if Azumarill shields once, then actually that play rough can end up causing problems for Feraligatr. So for Feraligatr to reliably win the majority of its matchups, it has to shield. And what that causes is a situation where your opponent can almost guarantee where your shields are going. Now, I'm running a Pangoro in this situation, and I'm like, generally speaking, if I want to shield something, Pangoro can hit way harder than Feraligatr, right? Its attack is way higher, subject to dodgy CMP, and close combat's a harder hitting attack at the exact same pacing. Plus, fighting type is a more offensive, better offensive coverage typing for an attack. So I was like, if I'm going to shield something, ideally, I'd love to be shielding a Pangoro. What I really don't want to do is have a Shadow Feraligatr, feel like I'm really flexible, and guarantee that my shields go to that Shadow Feraligatr. So I swapped for Alligator into Azumarill, and my goodness, was it the best decision I could have made. So huge shout out to Arceus Aurelius for that, because Azumarill a lot of the time doesn't need shields, but what it also allowed me to have was 4 tanks. Azumarill, Toxapex, Diggersby, Clodsire. And I could close combat with this Pangoro. I could shield it if I needed to, and then I could dip out into a Clodsire, Azumarill, Toxapex, or Diggersby based on the team composition of my opponent. And they were so bulky, right? And this is where it gets critical. They are so bulky that their average matchup lasts at least 50 seconds. And what that meant was, I dip into one of the tanks, they sponge attacks for up to 50 seconds, and then I go back and I aggressively swap in. And that suited my playstyle so much more. So much more. Okay, I hit, sponge for a little bit, swap out again, start hitting again. And so I don't know if you've noticed in a lot of my games, right? I'm very, very rarely playing like hard alignment RPS games with this team. This team is not designed for that, right? My Shadow Basti team, that was maybe designed a little bit more for that. This team isn't designed for that. This team is supposed to be very quick, fluid, flexible, get in, get out, sponge damage, hit hard. And Azumarill was just incredible for that. And don't get me wrong, I think Shadow for Alligator is very good, but I did say, I can't remember who I said it to, it was maybe Colin. I did say, or maybe Martine, I said Shadow for Alligator will not win Baltimore. I said it won't win Baltimore. I was so convinced that it won't win Baltimore. I was like, Azumarill will win Baltimore. I'm just saying. So if you're building teams, don't get me wrong, like use Shadow for Alligator. It is very good. But don't think that it is a staple. Right? Don't think that you have to have it to be good. And honestly, you don't need to think about Clodsire like that either. I know we had huge Clodsire usage, but Clodsire is super safe and it's very, very good. But people will start to be running anti-meta. They will start to be bringing things that they think will cause problems. Yeah, Cresselia is a good example of a Pokemon that's quite safe and can work into a lot of teams, and the presence of Cresselia is probably going to invite a lot of Talonflame, and then obviously Clodsire with Stone Edge and Feraligatr are good against Talonflame, so don't get me wrong, they're still very, very good, right? But Azumarill was one of my most used Pokemon. Azumarill and Toxapex and Diggersby, those 3 were probably some of my most used. I actually didn't use Clodsire that much, I don't think. I can't remember exactly, but Azumarill, Toxapex and Diggersby were superb for me.
Has these resistances to waters. He does have the Toxapex. He has not brought it, but considering a Gastrodon was just led, is Toxapex too risky of a bring? We have seen a Toxapex from Tomahawk KO a Gastrodon before, but it required a lot of help and damage throughout the course of the match to be able to do so.
You're going to need consistent damage for the Azumarill, for the Diggersby. Such bulky Pokemon. How is Elam going to address it? Does he risk the Cresselia at this point, though, because he just saw the Talonflame? Do you want to make that call? Do you want a hard read in for Game 3 and secure this, secure your entry into the losers finals?
It is a tough decision to make if you're Tomahawk. Tomahawk now in a spot where
I can't remember what I lead in this
win
game
to stay alive in the tournament. As the username may give the idea, he flew here from England to compete. He's made it this far, top 4 in
Wait,
Baltimore,
Henry, my username's not
want
Tomahawk
his run
England.
to come to an end. He's gonna have to put together the perfect line of 3.
I think Pangoro's going to come from him again, but will he bring some of his other more reliable Pokemon? I'm thinking the Toxapex or the Diggersby core, just bring them together. Let's see. It looks like both players have locked in. What are their leads? It's going to be Tomahawk UK. Oh, okay. Yeah, here we go. Oh my goodness, this is the match we want to see.
The Pangoro on the lead versus the...
Okay, this matchup can get a bit silly because it can be a little bit IV dependent. It can be obviously boost impacted, but Pangoro can win 2s against a Cresselia.
Cresselia, according to Nighttime Clasher, Pangoro can win the 2s. I'll be honest, I have not studied this matchup. Tomahawk throwing right away. He's saying, if I get a Night Slash boost, I want it to happen instantly here. Immediate Night Slash into Cresselia. Cresselia from Elam
Wow.
with the no shield.
Look how much a
Big
Night
damage,
Slash does,
but
right?
no boost to be seen.
Yeah, as you see here, these karate chops are adding up into 2s. It's
He actually
gonna
mistimes
allow
his
you
Moonblast, so he has to
two
take 2 Night
karate
Slashes
chop all the way
first.
down. He's gonna go for the
Now,
no-shoot here.
if I
He's
shield a
trying to play
Moonblast,
0-2s.
he has to think about
Just
what he wants to do.
maximize the amount of shields that he's going to get back. Oh, no baits here. I think a grass knot would have been pretty safe, honestly, but goes straight for the Moonblast. Is it going to connect? Obviously not. Tomahawk UK shields it up. Here comes the Feraligatr.
So he comes in with a Feraligatr, but
very difficult to try not to take
I
a
win
close
CMP.
combat. Does he opt for the shield? This is such a tough call, but you have
and I can start to get some shields off him with these Night Slash baits. But Night Slash, like I say, Night Slash does a lot to a Feraligatr as well. And so in my head, I'm like, get his shields down,
Yes, Pangoro
get as much
hiding
energy as I
behind
can,
the shield.
and then I assume I'm just going to go into Azumarill and just sponge the rest, exactly as I've said, right?
Into the Azumarill whenever he'd like, and he's throwing one before the Hydro Cannon, so he will have the ability
So
to switch.
Night Slash would take this
Another
deep
bait
into the red,
can preserve the
right?
little
So
bit of
I'm getting the shields
resistance if
back,
he wants
and then
to
I just
switch
make
out
sure that
into
when he's at the Hydro
Azumarill,
Cannon,
and
I'm
that's exactly
going to go
what
into an
we're going to
Azumarill,
see.
right? So I
But the
guarantee
switch
that my
timers
Pangoro is
are
safe.
almost
But now
back
shields are
up
down.
for Elam. One Hydro Cannon, switch timers up, and he can actually switch out of this matchup and preserve the Feraligatr if he wants to.
This is a great situation for Elam, I think, because if you come into the Cresselia right now, you might be able to hang on to a move, and then, oh, goes for the Clodsire, but
And so this time, right, what have I said, right? When you make a mistake, you learn from it. You never make that mistake again. I was like, you're going to have a Clodsire in the back, you're staying in with your Feraligatr, there is a 0% chance I'm going to throw a Play Rough into a Clodsire here.
right now, you might be able to hang on to a move, and then, oh, goes for the Clodsire, but Tomahawk UK,
And thankfully,
he's not going to let a player get caught into a Clodsire again. But
there was no
that's
pause
actually
and there was no
good
visual
points
error or
for
anything, so I
Ice
get to
Beam.
see the
This may
Clodsire
help
properly.
Elam get to another charge attack and prevent him from doing any more damage to this. Clodsire, no, it's going to be another Ice Beam reach before the Earthquake. Actually, Earthquake comes through.
And I know I
It's gonna
survive
do a
an
lot of damage,
Earthquake.
but not enough. I would have liked to see him go for 2 Stone Edges here, actually.
Maybe hoping that an Earthquake plus a farm down will be viable. The Earthquake connects. Ice Beam fired by the Azumarill. This Clodsire can hang on. It will survive the damage, but the thing you have to watch will be the bubble damage as well. We're going to see a switch out now into Diggersby. Diggersby getting a big energy head start, looking for a farm now, not going to get it. The Earthquake is reached, but Diggersby is another one of these very bulky Pokemon, able to shake off this Earthquake damage like it's nothing.
How do you...
If I had optimally timed my Ice Beam, I wonder if I could have Quick Attack down before he reaches the Earthquake. I remember thinking about that at the time, that in my head I was like, if I Ice Beam, then I can quickly Quick Attack down and the optimal, timing won't make a difference. But then because he does reach the Earthquake, I was like, maybe I should have just done the optimal timing. Because now I'm so close to Hydro Cannon range. But what have we seen from these bulky tanks? My goodness, they survive. They survive.
Barely hangs on.
And that like, this is
Really
what I'm
hope
saying.
that
This
we
is
KO.
like, imagine you have a
Diggersby is
Feraligatr there,
all
right?
about
You've got
the
your
ball,
shields have gone down. I
hanging
can't
on
bring Feraligatr to
barely,
sponge in damage.
Barely by the narrowest of margins. In
And I've just taken out that
Cresselia.
Feraligatr.
Cresselia looking for the farm. Gets the farm. Could potentially knock out.
And the hard thing here is I'm shields down and I'm trying to... The Diggersby, this is a high rank Diggersby. The hard thing here is I'm having to try and remember, we talked about this before, I'm having to try and remember exactly how much energy this Cresselia was on from 4 minutes ago when it was last in.
Pangoro.
Or the Azumarill.
But ideally, to get rid of this Pangoro, you have to land the Moonblast. Does Tomahawk bring in Pangoro and try for a catch here?
What?
Gets the catch! Gets the catch! Unbelievable! What a beautiful play!
And
Tomahawk,
yeah,
he
maybe
keeps
Ilum could have
getting
paused,
these
but honestly, we were at the
predictions
stage of the
right
tournament
throughout
where
this
we'd
weekend.
seen so many people
Again,
try and pause and the game
again,
stopped working
and
that
again,
I think he
this
just was like, I'm just
shiny
going to throw the attack.
Pangoro will not be denied,
Maybe if
and
the game had been
Tomahawk
working properly the
will
whole day,
force
he
a
would have
decisive
paused, but
game 3, as there's just
I
no
managed to remember the
available
energy.
on that Clodsire.
And similar to the Valor Ash game, if you remember, I come in with the Pangoro and then get back out of there because all of these bulky Pokemon surviving with a sliver HP just makes it so easy to catch when you've got 50-second switch timers and you've got these bulky Pokemon that have survived. They're extra shields, right? They're extra shields.
He doesn't want to go home to the UK. He wants to stay in the beautiful city of Baltimore just a little bit longer and play that Pangoro.
And that Pangoro has provided some truly
And then
incredible
here,
results.
for this
Interesting
final
to note,
game,
as
it's
we take a
actually
look
Ilum
at
that
this
plays
footage, is
the risky
Ilum could have
ABA
potentially
team
waited a turn here,
that
decided against
honestly I didn't
waiting the
expect.
turn,
It was very
because if you
very
wait
very
the
good from
turn,
him. I
visually
didn't
see the
expect
karate chop
the
and
team
get
that
a
he
point
ends
to
up
catch, but
running.
instead clicks it instantly, maybe hoping the clock
He
was
played.
enough,
It's
but
a
was,
soft
and that
ABA, I
catch
guess.
is
It's a soft ABA.
devastating. So close to losers finals for Elam, but instead Tomahawk makes the correct prediction, and we're going to a game 3. These battlers, each battle has been incredible, and now we get to see them do it one more time.
It feels like both of them are just so close to making it to the losers finals. They're so close to even winning the regional championship, but it all comes down to the next 3 minutes. We're gonna know which one of these trainers needs to go home, but which one advances and gets to play against Wadaj or Elite.
And that is what will be decided here. The stakes have never been higher. Top 4 is great, but your dream of becoming regional champion is on the line. One
And
dream.
so my learnings from my games versus Elite, as I said, was that against a Cresselia Shadow for Alligator team, to lean into Tox specs. So that's what you'll see that I do here.
It will fall just short.
And obviously I don't want to
Battle is
see
taking every last
I don't want
moment
to see any
they
of his
possibly
3
can
Pokemon on the
think
left. I want to see
about
any of
these
the 3
lines,
Pokemon on the
as there's
right.
so much at
I want to see the
stake here.
Moltres, the
This is a
Cresselia,
battle
or the Shadow
of
for
two
Alligator.
former finalists. I want to remind everybody at home, they both want this so badly. They're so close to achieving their goals. But of course, only one will continue on today. Is it going to be Tomahawk? Is it going to be Elam?
Alejandro,
Let us know in the
yes,
chat.
I
We're loading in.
loved
It's a
Tox specs,
Gastrodon
loved it.
up
Josh,
against
that's
that
cute.
Tox
It's cute. I'm
Apex.
happy you
Oh,
watched.
no, disaster
So yeah, I
strikes
don't want
for
to see this.
Tomahawk.
You
That's
see my
not what he was hoping
expression,
to see.
but
He's gonna look to switch out
I
of
come
this
in with the
matchup.
Azumarill,
In comes
and honestly,
Azumarill.
I wasn't expecting him to have a Cresselia in the back because Gastrodon is weak to Talonflame, right? Talonflame wins all shield scenarios against Gastrodon. Yeah, it's a soft loss, but because it's a loss, I guess I didn't hugely expect the Cresselia in the back. I thought it would maybe be a Clodsire or something.
Put it into double grass on range. If the answer is yes, then that is a beautiful demonstration of skill by Elam and understanding damage values.
I think it absolutely does. We're going to see Grasston number 1 being thrown out by the Cresselia in a second here, right before that player of his reach. Is it going to get it into half-health range? We're going to have to pull out our glasses here to see if it does. Grasston landing onto the Azumarill. I think it's just enough. I think it's just enough for the Psycho Cut down as well. This is perfect.
And he plays this so well, right? He plays this so well. He mud slaps the Azumarill, as Eric and Henry pointed out, right? He mud slaps the Azumarill into a range where he only needs to throw 2 grass knots. So I try and now misalign the switch clocks. And I know Tox specs is probably at this point it's probably pretty useless. So I'm like, get rid of this Tox specs. But just try and get the switch clock so misaligned that I'm no longer stuck.
Here comes the Earth Power. We know this is not enough because we saw the game against the Valor Ash earlier. It is going to be shielded though. Can he get to another one before the Brine? It's not going to be reached, but this Brine is an absolute tickle of damage to the Gastrodon. Elam doesn't even take a second to think about shielding that, and it's going to come through. It's going to do about 10% of damage. Just kidding, a little bit more than that. But here
well, Alejandro, that doesn't really make any sense, right? Because if I had Shadow for Alligator on my team, he wouldn't run that team. So that doesn't mean anything, right? If I had a Shadow for Alligator, he would be bringing Dunsparce and Galarian Moltres.
Oh, it's not. Oh, a miscalculation, and he's forced.
So it's a good CMP from Elam. He recognizes that I've reached the Brine. He'd rather not give up a shield, so he gives away a Body Slam instead, which is fine because it's cheap for him. Problem here is I'm now a shield down.
Because it was 2 mud slaps, and that's
And so when I see this for Alligator, I was hoping it was a Clodsire. It's not, it's a for Alligator. The only way I can win, maybe, is to start baiting, but honestly, it's not going to make a difference. The baiting a shield down isn't fast enough.
There is still energy available on the Azumarill, and he's going for a Fire Punch bait, and he gets the shield.
And it was surprising to me because I actually felt that Cresselia plus Clodsire as a core, I always felt like it was strong into my team, and yet no one that had Cresselia and Clodsire ever really ran it against me.
Combination is absolutely incredible.
Hydro Cannon comes down on the Diggersby.
Actually, Elite did, didn't he? Did Elite?
He's gonna try for another bait. Oh my goodness.
Elite maybe was the only one that did.
From Tomahawk UK, I think Elam's gonna put on the Cresselia though. Oh, he actually goes for the shield. Can he reach his Hydro Cannon before that Scorching Sands reach? Tomahawk UK needs to make a catch. He's been so instrumental in doing
Yeah,
all
and
the
that was the only thing I could hope for, was the catch, and the catch, he didn't give it away, so the Feraligatr takes the Hydro Cannon away. It knows it wins CMP. I know that's game over now, so that was my Baltimore run, and it was a really good experience. I thought I thought that my takeaway from it mostly was that I got to showcase Pangoro, right? I got to use the Diggersby plus Toxapex core that I still think is super strong, but Inadequance, who had told me before the event that if I used Pangoro that I'd get knocked out very, very quickly. Not only did we bring it, we also took out a lot of big names along the way. So Pangoro, it is hard to use, but it is very, very strong. Very, very strong. And we start the season off, as we say. We start the season off with a medal. So we get to add the medal. Maybe when I get another thing, I add the medal here. And we get a lot of points for the start of the season. So any points that I get from the American events, they still obviously go to my European leaderboard, right? So that's why I'm like, if I'm casting more this season, then maybe my casting in Europe means try and play a few more games in NA, I guess. So it's not going to be on paper, potentially, I'm not making any promises, but I'm not planning on it being my last North American event. And we can go and check, actually, we can go and check the leaderboards for 2025. Come have a look. Oh, Meticulous, thank you so much for the gifted subs. I appreciate that. That's really kind. Thank you. Shout out to you, Meticulous. That's huge. Come and have a look. This is now the European leaderboard. So I've obviously got a bit of a cheeky advantage here in that I'm the only person in Europe to have played a regional event. So I am sitting at a nice 377, and then Emmy Weedle in second place with 162, which is not a bad start, right? And for those of you that don't know, I will be casting Dortmund next weekend. Not this weekend, next weekend. I will be casting Dortmund. So if you want to come and watch me not play, but talk more like this at you guys, then make sure to tune into the Dortmund stream, because we will get to see Europe's take on the new meta, and it'll obviously be somewhat inspired by what we've seen in Baltimore, in NA, and I'm very excited for it. I'm really excited to cast it. I'm really excited to cast this year. I think we've got a really cool roster of casters. We've got an awesome group of players in Europe, and NA obviously do as well, but I think that it's going to be a really fun season. I think it's going to be a really fun season, especially with these new move updates, especially with the move updates that are still to come in future seasons. There are, I think, lots of very exciting things. If they can just fix the game, then I think that there is a lot of time. No, not my first time casting. I casted twice last year. If you want to see any of my casts, I think I've got an Instagram. It's Tomahawk_UK, and one of the reels on that Instagram account is a little segment. It was my Stockholm closing ceremony, which I think is a good way to, if you want to see what I look like when I cast, then yeah, check out Tomahawk_UK on Instagram, and then one of the reels is my Stockholm closing ceremony, which I hope you enjoy. Have I ever thought about coaching? Maybe. I mean, maybe. I have zero time, right? Like I have no time, because I'm gonna try and start putting some YouTube videos out as well. I know you guys mostly prefer GBL videos, so maybe that's what I'll do for YouTube, and then the occasional maybe more educational video, I guess. But the thing is, not that many people care to learn sometimes, so it's hard. So sometimes it's easier on Twitch when you ask questions live and I can answer those questions. And every time I stream, then feel free to ask me any questions during the streams. But maybe, yeah, I'll put out some YouTube stuff as well. Coaching, I think, is just a little bit time consuming for me at the moment. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. You guys should boycott the 20 they will fix. I don't know. They did give me a lot of money for coming fourth, and I got a medal, and I also got, I mean, I don't play TCG, but I also got 3 booster boxes. Look at this. 3 booster boxes of whatever this is. Stellar Crown, it says. Scarlet and Violet Stellar Crown, 3 booster boxes. If you can see there, I've got 4 more booster boxes from previous events. Most of the events I end up opening the cards as well, but I've kind of realized that there's not a huge amount of point doing that because they just take up loads of space. So I haven't done many pack openings. Martine, the stalling went well. Actually, I did 1 set of Master League, Martine, and then I did 4 hours of talking, so I'm just saying, we got through 1 set of GBL. I'm the world champion stalling. Yeah, they need to basically just put loads of people up and just see who can talk for longest, and I can guarantee easy gold that way. Those in the back are nice. Yeah. I mean, do you know what? Do you know what I could do, Calvin? I could, because I don't have anywhere to put these new boxes of boosters, I could do some kind of like pack opening video, because people like pack openings, I think. And then I could put the new boxes there because I don't have any space for them anyway, and we'll see how it goes. So maybe one for the future, maybe one if it's Pogo talk only. Yeah, I can talk. Yeah, I've got to talk Pogo. Right, team. Does anyone have any other question? New TCG set picks my GBL team, free content. Henry, I love that. Henry, you and I, we're gonna do a video together. Don't worry, you and me, and that'll be great content. So, team, if you are looking for teams for Show 6 at the moment, all I can say is I can highly recommend Toxapex plus Diggersby. I think that they were very good. I think Azumarill is very good. I do think Shadow for Alligator is very, very good. I personally don't rate Dunsparce that highly. I think it's pretty. I don't know. I personally don't rate Dunsparce too highly, but it's a little bit derpy looking and slow for me personally. But I think it's still obviously very high usage. I think Shadow Drapion is very good. I think Shadow Machamp and Pangoro are good, but I do think that you need to be very switched on with energy management for both of them. I think Machamp's slightly easier, but I do think that they are both higher ceiling Pokemon to be very good at, whereas I think Dunsparce is maybe a lower floor, right? I think it's easier. I think Machamp is high floor, high ceiling, and Dunsparce is low floor, lower ceiling. I think that Talonflame will continue to be popular. It hard walls most Diggersby. It hard walls Cresselia. It hard walls, or at least it pretty much walls Superior. And generally speaking, if you think about why are people running Brave Bird? Why are people running Brave Bird and not Flame Charge? The reason is because there are little to no Pokemon in this meta that resist flying type damage. And so those Brave Birds are almost free. Right, you can throw that Brave Bird and you know it's gonna hit hard against pretty much everything, particularly Stone Edge Clodsire, where you have to shield the Stone Edge anyway, so you may as well just Brave Bird it, right? Just Brave Bird, Brave Bird, Brave Bird, because you shield all of the Stone Edges regardless, and the Poison Stings are never going to take you down. I think Shadow Typhlosion has the potential to be good. I think it is tricky to use. It's very fragile. You need to get your energy management done correctly. It loses almost every zero shield scenario otherwise if you get anything wrong, because it's actually its second blast burn that's the fast one. The first one's the slow one. But I do think Shadow Typhlosion could be good. We've obviously seen that Chestnut has just won an event. I think Chestnut, because it walls the Stone Edge Clodsire charge attack, Chestnut can be good. Chestnut can be good. I don't think Chestnut will win Dortmund though. I don't think Chestnut will win Dortmund. But I'm very interested to see what people use in Dortmund. And I think everyone is, right? Everyone's excited to see how the meta adapts and shifts over the next couple of events. So I will see anyone else who is going to Dortmund. I will probably stream a little bit more frequently than I have been over the last couple of months. Now that I'm back, now that I've moved flat, will we see a larger shift from Stone Edge to Sludge Bomb for Clod? Who knows? Who knows? If Talonflame is popular, then maybe not. Maybe not. Stone Edge is still very good against the ice types as well, remember. Stuff like Dugong. And then the other Pokemon that I think I would like to see more of is Shadow Quagsire. I think Arrow, if he had not lost his match because of lag, his Shadow Quagsire plus Galarian Moltres core, I think he would have done very well. I think he got unfortunate, but I think he would have done pretty well. If you obviously don't have a Galarian Moltres, like me, if you don't have one, then I guess do your daily incense. But yeah, any other picks we can discuss on stream, and if anyone wants to share teams, discuss teams or tactics or anything, that's something that definitely happy to do as well. But I think other than that, team, that's pretty much me. Have I had dinner? Oh yeah, no, I had pasta. So good. But otherwise, that is me. Time for bed. Does anyone want me to raid? Should we raid? You guys like GBL? Rise is streaming. It'd be rude not to go and throw you all to Rise's GBL stream. Team, I hope you enjoyed the stream. And go and say hi to Rise for me as well, please. Soli, thank you. Kelvin, good night. Josh, thanks for staying. And yeah, see you guys in a couple of days.